Yes, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome back to Football Monopolisation TV. Welcome. It is Friday. Spurs are playing this weekend, not once, but twice. Two massive tests. One against Wycombe Wanderers and the other one against Luton Town. This is going to be a massive day for Tottenham tomorrow to see who plays in which team. Is it going to be one full strength? Is it going to be one reserve? Is it going to be a mixture? We're going to talk about it. Everyone else is doing bits. Just before I bring my guests in, Man City have re-signed James Trafford. James Trafford has re-signed for Manchester City for 27 million, which is 13 million euros below his return clause in his contract. Leeds United have just put in a bid for Igor Pichal of Feyenoord. Good player. If you haven't seen him, I'm jealous. He's better than most of our wingers. I'm jealous. Leeds United doing bits. I'll be asking Dan and Lubo about that in a second. Man United have had a loan bid for Emi Martinez rejected. Yep. A loan bid for Emi Martinez rejected. Cheeky. I think that falls under cheeky. Apparently, they're in talks with Villa about Ollie Watkins. It's all happening. Chelsea look like they're going to wrap up Xavi Simons and Terrell Hatto. And also today, I've just seen, I'm not sure if, can I find it quickly? I've just seen that Chelsea also might be trying to make a move for Yildiz of Juventus. So, Danny, welcome. Good morning, my friend. How are we?
Morning. Same Spurs, different day. Apart from that, quite nicely chilled out.
Oh, same Spurs, different day. It's now 39 days, I believe, of the window. I might be wrong. Somebody out there could. I'm pretty sure it's 39 days of the window. And people will tell me, damn, don't panic, Sav. You always panic. But 39 days. It's going to soon we'll be going, oh, don't worry, there's still 30. Then it'll be 20. Underwhelming is what I would say, especially when I'm reading out all these other transfers and offers that these other clubs are making.
Do you know what? I think a few of us might have been more annoyed, less annoyed, should I say, if nothing would have happened. If nothing would have happened, we'd be sitting here just saying, same Spurs, different day sort of thing, like I am. But it's the fact that it all of a sudden dropped two bombs, bang, bang. You think, right, we're going somewhere. And then all of a sudden, one of them goes tits up and then nothing. I think that was more frustrating than not doing anything, basically. Because it actually looked like it actually got you excited. It actually got you, looks like something's happening. And then nothing happens.
Yeah.
I think I'd have been less frustrated with it if we'd have actually done nothing.
Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? I mean, Lubo, welcome to the show. I just read out a number of clubs that are signing, bidding. There's always an excuse. I mean, me and Sean had the debate last night as to, we can't buy because of our squad space. And I'm like, well, hang on. Everyone else in the country seems to be bidding for footballers.
I must say, we've got. I mean, as I say, went through the non-homegrown players. When you consider that, I mean, Takai, I don't know whether Takai is going to be qualified, whether he's going to qualify being 20 years old. Dragosin and Kulu are out for months, so they won't be included just yet. Solomon, question mark. Not sure. Odegaard, because he's under 21. I presume he goes in as a non-homegrown, but there's still one or two spaces. So I mean, we can go out. I mean, we're going to need to get rid of a couple of players for when Dragosin and Kulu are fit.
Yeah.
But you know, who are we going to get rid of? For me, there's no point if you're going to go and buy Paulinho, Basuma, Sarr or Bentancur, one of those have got to go. So I do think Sonny will go after Korea. And it'd be nice if he plays on that first game of the season and says cheerio to the fans. I think that would be a very fitting farewell. But, you know, full house, first game, hopefully bright sunshine, 60,000. And Sonny says cheerio before heading off to LA. but it's frustrating. It is frustrating when there's just no links, are there?
I mean, but when we're saying frustrating, I think that's an understatement. And by the way, just so we know, Victor Gyökeres has now got everything is in place. Medical is going to take place today. So looks like Arsenal have got their man in Victor Gyökeres. So before pre-season started for Arsenal, I think they've played one game. They've got 6-7 new signings through the door, and Tottenham have got whatever we've got. I just want to say, when I see posts like this, I do big up to Greg. So the fan base should accept the fact that we are now doing things differently under Lang, but it doesn't feel very different in any way, shape or form. Many things going on in terms of signings in the background. More surprises are on the way. Guys, I don't know about you, but for me, this shouldn't be about surprise. I don't care about the surprise element. This is just about get it done. Like, do you know what I mean, Dan? I understand when fans are saying this and we're doing things differently. It's in the darkness. But my issue is I don't need to know about it for weeks beforehand, mate. It would be lovely from a YouTube perspective. I don't need to know that, but get the deals done, right? It's all well and good saying this, but we play 2 games tomorrow. We've already played Reading, and we fly to South Korea on Tuesday, maybe.
What's today? 25th,
26th, 27th. Tuesday
so,
or Wednesday.
You would think by Spurs will probably land it. First game's on the 30th, I think. No, Hong Kong. Hong Kong's. I think it's Hong Kong next Wednesday. I think against Arsenal, which would mean that we'd probably be touching down. I would think Monday.
Yeah.
So fly out Monday.
So by then we'll have played 3 games, Dan. We're on tour in Asia, and we're just sitting here going, "Oh, don't worry, there's still time to go." It's just so demoralising.
It's just who we are, mate. In that aspect, it's no different to what it ever is. I must admit, I'm not too bothered yet about the window because it should be a different way. We know that, but I am seriously at that point where as long as we get it done by the end of the season, at least the players are there. Yeah, it would help if we got them earlier, got everything done earlier, and they had time to settle in, whatever else. We all know with that word with Spurs, should be done like that, but it's not. And as long as we actually get them by the end of the season, I'll just deal with it and get on with it, basically. It'd be better than not having them at all. But we should act like the real clubs do. Even the smaller clubs out there, like Sunderland and that have gone and done it. And Leeds seem to look busy.
It's mad.
Could be done, but we just don't do it like that.
Dan, how are these teams like Sunderland and Leeds? They've just been promoted, and they're going for good level footballers. They're making signings, and we're sitting here going, "All right, Tell, Danso, Takai." Other than Kudus, it's all. It's just I don't know. We need something, don't we? Need something, Dan. We need like like we need an energy boost. We need a pick me up. We need a pep talk type of thing. We need
a sugar pick.
We need a sugar fix. Yeah, we need something.
Yeah. Then you might as well just have a coffee.
It'll be there. It'll happen.
It'll happen. It just at the moment you just. It's nothing different to how we usually do it. It looked like it was going to be. It's not. But it is at that point now where Spurs fans again, we're sitting here like, just give us a hit for God's sake. Just give us something to give us a bit of energy. Because let's just say the night's died out sort of thing, and you need that bit of energy to get you going for the rest of the night sort of thing. And it's just become dry lunch again. The other clubs are getting it done. They're putting the money on the table, basically saying, right, there you go. Getting it sorted, quick, done, dusted, over. We're just doing the same thing we usually do.
Yeah. Be nice at the wheel, don't worry.
Oh, but it needs to move. I mean, look, we will in a minute. We'll get to the games. It's just, I've got all the alerts set up for Romano and for Ornstein and for, whoever it is now. And I'm just so bored of seeing Newcastle trying this, Chelsea doing this, Leeds, Sunderland, City, Arsenal. And just like, okay, when is that going to say Tottenham? When is that? We should be right now. There should be a hive of activity in the transfer market with Tottenham, with outgoings, with incomings. We should be acting like those above us to try and catch up. And that's the worry for me, Lubo, that I'm not saying we can be them, but at least show some impetus, show some effort, show some ambition, something.
I think, listen, I understand your frustration. Take away the top four. How many of the other clubs have been busy to that extent? None of them.
Yeah, but
United have got two through the door. In terms of established players, we've got one. Villa, I don't think have got anybody. Newcastle have just about got Elanga. They've been turned down by 6 other players.
sure.
Nobody else apart from the top 4 is doing that sort of business. So, we look at the competition where we are, and we're hopefully will be in a battle for 5th place next season. And the other clubs are doing very little as well. There's not much happening at the moment.
But shouldn't that be more of a reason, Lubo, that we do strike? Like, I agree with you, right? I don't think we're in that top 4 bracket, but I do think we should be in the next bracket considered of Villa, Newcastle, I think possibly United, Spurs, and then you're always going to have 1 or 2 from the likes of Brighton and Brentford and Fulham and whoever, right? But if they're not doing anything and we're in the Champions League, surely we should be going, right, strike. Let's catch those clubs and pull away from them. Surely we can't be basing our transfer windows on what Fulham and Brentford and Brighton are doing, should we?
I don't think we do. I think they just run the club. No, they just run the club. They run the club totally differently to everybody else. So it's as simple as that. You're not talking about regular football owners that bring in managers, bring them in, bring them out, let them buy players, stretch themselves in terms of FFP, PSR. We don't do that. We have the money. We choose not to spend it. Listen, it's their club. They can do with it what they want. They choose not to spend the money. They don't spend the money. But if you don't spend the money, you're not going to fulfil your potential. And we never have under this lot. So nothing changes. Nothing changes. At the end of the day, if Charrington's there for Lewis and Vinay's there because Lewis has brought him in, it's still Enoch. At the end of the day, we did hope it looks as though investment is coming into the club, because when was the last time we were involved in 120 million pounds worth of transfers in 3 days? So if you look at it and you got the last time when the figures came out, I think somebody said we had 79 million pound cash in bank. Well, you need the cash in bank to run the club. So where are you getting money? Where are we getting money for 120 million pounds worth of players? So,
maybe Sean was right then. Maybe last night Sean was right that the 60 million for Gibbs White is what we've got to spend. Maybe the idea was we're going to bring in Kudus and Gibbs White. Everything else is going to be on the cheap at the end of the window. Maybe he was right. That's the signing.
Or against sales, whatever money we bring in, we can spend on players.
Sure.
But this is not why the game-changing stadium was built. That's just been one massive con.
Yeah.
By the owners. Massive con. And what's Levy walking around saying we want Premier League and Champions League? Shopping in Middles? Really?
But by the way, Bayern Munich have just submitted another bid according to Florian Plettenberg, 67.5 million euros for Luis Diaz. The reason that's important is once Nunes and Diaz go, that money for those two basically pays for Isak. I mean, if you could get rid of Diaz and Nunes and bring in Isak, that is world-class business. So forget that is world-class transfer shenanigans right there.
Salah on the right, Ekitike on the left, and Isak in the middle.
And Florian Wirtz in the number 10.
with Gravenberch and McAllister, and who's the other midfield in there?
Well, they've got Soboslai. You'd still have Cody Gakpo.
Yes.
And then you've got that's happening. That's
Champions League material. That's Champions League winning material, in my opinion.
Well, Dan, I hosted Football's 12th Man podcast yesterday for Dan Potts. And the first thing I said to the panel was, if Liverpool get Isak as well as Ekitike and Wirtz and Salah, and surely they have to do a treble. Surely that team is filthy, like as in disgustingly good, isn't it? Like that is worrying for the rest of Europe.
That's going to be as good as any team out there, in my opinion. Yeah, okay, need a couple of players to settle in, and like it's like when you look at Gyökeres at Arsenal. I'll judge him in like halfway at the end of the season, sort of thing, because I do always have that attitude of okay, let's see how you do it in the Premier League. I mean, a lot of players do make it, some don't, whatever, and that. But that team that Liverpool have got, that is Champions League winning material. That is league winning material. I would actually say they have a better first 11 than Man City now. And if they get Isak, 100%. It'd be tight on that one. But
it's going to be interesting to see if City go again, Dan. It's going to be interesting to see if City do anything.
Well, City, in that aspect, in that first 11, I think City now have to catch up with Liverpool. I mean, it's not a big catch-up for them, but they have to get a couple of players in there to catch up with Liverpool now, as far as I'm concerned. And I agree with what you're saying. That's a treble-winning material, or at least a double of a league and the Champions League. Their team is actually pretty goddamn scary.
But also what I said comes with that, and we'll go back to Spurs in a minute. The pressure on that now is because if you think Slot came in last year, and not many people expected that Liverpool were going to win the title. They only signed Chiesa, and everyone was like, oh, they've not done anything. He's won the league with Klopp set up. Yeah. Now he's gone and spent. Do you know what? If they get Isak, it'll be something like £450 million.
Well, so that's because they got last year's money as well, isn't it? They got last year's money, this year's money, and the money that they've won the league, whatever else, and that.
But you know when people talk about checkbook manager, go, oh, Pep and Jose, everyone now is a checkbook manager. Every club is just going chop, chop, chop with the money. Anyway, what I did say when I was on that show yesterday, Lubo, I said to the two Liverpool fans on the panel, I said, I'm just so jealous. I would just love my club just to, not even with that level of player, but just to be involved in this level of transfer activity, because all of the players they bought, by the way, Liverpool, right? If you go through what they bought so far, Frimpong is a first-team starter. Kirkes is a first-team starter. Wirtz, Ekitike, if they get Isak, they're all first-team start. No, oh, well, one for the future, for kids, for the... Boom, boom, boom.
That's the point I was making last night, is that Ange brought in 18 players, forget Werner, brought in 18 players in 23 months, and only 4 of them walked into the first team and started. That was it. Bergvall wasn't brought in as a starter on day one at Brentford. Not Brentford. What was the first game? I can't think what the first game last season was. Leicester. Bergvall worked his way into the team. But the only players that came in were Johnson, Maddison, Van der Ven, and Natalie Slanky.
Well, that's more than Frank's got. That's more than Frank's got. He's got one player that gets into that first team.
I think potentially 2. Potentially 2. I think Vuskovic is going to. I think he's going to smash the place.
Yeah, but hang on, Vuskovic wasn't bought under Thomas Frank, so that's not
correct.
Correct. Vuskovic is not starting for Spurs at centre half. Let's get that right out there. Who's he replacing?
I think if he starts as a 3, he could play.
God, I feel like this is all based off 45 minutes.
No, it's not based on 45 minutes. He's been playing top-level European football for 2 years now. This isn't like Gray coming out of the Championship. So, or this is a guy who is years ahead of his age. Absolutely years ahead of his age.
I have
straight in above that. I mean, if you're Danso, right, and let's just say Spurs had a back 3, which I don't think we're going to, but if we had a back 3, if you're Danso and Vuskovic is picked in front of you, aren't you knocking on the manager's door and going, hang on a minute, I've just signed, what's going on here?
Of course, but to quote my learned friend next to me, it's a dog-eat-dog world.
Yeah, I know.
That it is. But you know what? I didn't see the friendly. I was too busy out in the back garden.
I have actually to watch it the next day.
I have actually heard a lot of positive things about this player. off people that wouldn't usually do what Ian does and big up every player that's over 17 years old. And I've actually heard some very, very positive things about it, but I've still got the attitude of, okay, let's see him actually play a few games that matter in the Premier League and see where he goes. Absolutely. But I've also heard like he's already international based sort of thing and everything. I have heard a lot of positive stuff about him, but I'll judge that when I see him play 5-6 games straight and see how he does.
Yeah.
Well, just quickly, by the way, some news that I think last one on Spurs have put this out. I don't know the source, but it just says Tottenham have reluctantly agreed to allow Mikey Moore to leave on loan this transfer window. Moore wants to get playing time and come back to compete for a place in the first team next season. I don't know where that's from, if it's reliable. For me, it makes sense. For me, I don't think Mikey Moore should be anywhere near this 11 right now. I feel like get him a year, get him game time. But I thought that was interesting. And by the way, my mate's just texted me this. And he's just said, yeah, Leeds United continue to move in the transfer market. They've tabled a bid in excess of 30 million euros for Feyenoord winger Igor Paschal. And the first thing he said to me is, he's better than any left winger we've got. Guys, we can't have Leeds United having a better player than us in their front three. That is just disgraceful. That is truly disgraceful. If we go into this season with Tell and they got Paschal, that is disgraceful. Just going to put it out there.
If you go and tell me that they've got a left winger player that's better than we got, I'm going to turn around and say that's not particularly hard. So just to tell me he's better than anything we got at Spurs on the left, I'm like, okay, he could be quite average player and he's still better than what we got on the left.
Yeah, but he's not. Honestly, watch this boy play. He's a good player. He's a good footballer. He scores goals, gets assists. He's a good footballer. But I don't know. I'm just so.
I think I got to tell you, I just think if Sonny goes, and if we got Tell and maybe Solomon, I honestly think that he will play 3-5-2 and he'll play wing backs. He'll play down the left, do doggy, or he'll play Spence flying down. I genuinely think that. I do think that.
Yeah, but hang on. You said this last night.
If he's short, if he's short in certain departments, he's not gonna put his perfect team together in one transfer window. I mean, we can see what's going on already. So it's going to take him 3 or 4 windows anyway. Hopefully he'll still be there and he'll be building and building. And after 3 or 4 windows, he should have players in there that he wants.
But it shouldn't take 3 or 4 windows to sign 2, 3, 4 footballers. It shouldn't. This is
more
what
than 3 or 4. So
no, he doesn't. So you're telling me, right? If I said to you, Vicario, Porro, Van der Ven, Romero, Udogie is the back 5. You happy with that?
Yes.
Right, okay, there's the back 5. Hang on. Let me ask the question, right? That's the back 5. You happy with James Maddison as the playmaker?
Yeah.
Right? Are you going to be happy with Dominic Solanke for the time being as your centre mid, as your centre forward?
Not really.
Okay, not really. Okay. But so 5, 6. So 6 you're happy with, including Maddison, right?
Yeah.
And Kudus. You happy with Kudus?
7.
So I go back to my original point. It shouldn't need 3 or 4 windows to get 3 or 4 footballers in the team. All we need to do is get a left winger.
I'm not talking about 11. I'm not talking about 11. I'm talking about 17, 18, 19.
Sure, I understand that. But to get a good 11 should be able to be doable right now. Like to get a good 11 at least and push the Johnsons and the Bergvals and the Kulus down to be squad players, which makes the bench stronger. Surely, Danny, that should be doable this window. I'm talking about a left winger and a DM, really. Surely. You're on mute.
It doesn't look like the hardest job to do when you actually look at it. I mean, we've got some good players at that team, but we haven't exactly got anyone in particularly special, in my opinion. And it's not the hardest job in the world to do to sort out a couple of places that we need to sort. I mean, we don't even have someone who plays as an out-and-out DM, basically. So that should be a relatively easier job on its own.
Yeah.
And one of the best options is out there for 25 mil. I know we don't. I mean, Paulinho. I know we don't go for the people like. I mean, he's actually 30 now, isn't he? But we don't go for them ones. But he's one that I personally think that you'll get for 25 million. His wages won't be stupidly high that we can't do it. And he's one of those players I think you'll get plenty out of him until he's about 34. And he's one that you could definitely do within that team. And he would definitely do a good job there, I personally think. And then other positions and that, like on the left, people would say we've already got that sorted by getting Tell there and that. Not my personal opinion, but that's how it looks like the club's going to do it. But there is a lot out there that we should be able to get done relatively easy, and we just don't.
I mean, Dan, have you seen the prices? Some of these players that Atletico Madrid are picking up, Benfica, Porto, they're picking up these players from around Europe at like 25, 30 million euros.
I know.
Good footballers. And we're all sitting there going, Wharton at 80, Gibbs White at 60. It's like, surely we've got scouts that can go to these other leagues and go, that's a bargain. Like that's, look, I'm going to show you this, right? I'm going to show you this. So this is, I put this up yesterday and we can fiddle about with this, by the way. But this was just a mock-up of, this is the normal formation that Thomas Frank plays. And you can see the back five, they are all Spurs players already. So is Kudus, so is Maddison, and so is Solanke. Right? So I've put Grealish in there. We can play about whichever left-sided player, right? But is it really difficult for Tottenham Hotspur, a Champions League football club, to put an 11 like this together in one transfer market? I mean, look at it. I've not gone for any worldies. I've not gone for anyone that's at the peak of their powers at the age of 24 who's going to cost 100 million. Why on earth could we not put that together?
Because we're Spurs.
Yeah, it's embarrassing.
Simple as that, basically. I mean, the only one who I would say there would probably be the one we couldn't get is probably Grealish, depending on the wage structure on the loan, basically. Now, if City was willing to, I mean, what is he on? 320, 330, something like that, if I remember right.
Yeah.
Now, we wouldn't be paying that. Yeah, but if they wanted to save money, can't sell him, right, we'll pay 200, 220 of that. They still pay the extra 100 grand. They're still saving significant money. And that's what clubs have to do sometimes when they just can't get the player out. So he's another one why I can't see we couldn't get him unless we had to pay the full wages. And it generally doesn't look like the hardest job out there. But that's what I'm saying. If we got him on loan.
Wouldn't it be lovely for Spurs to actually think outside the box a bit? I'll tell you what, let's go to City. I've just checked. He's on 300 grand a week. Go to City, say, listen, we'll take Jack on loan for a year. We'll pay 100, we'll pay 150 or 180 grand a week. You cover the rest, right?
That's what I'm basically saying. Yeah.
No. But wouldn't it be lovely for them to do that? Have the word with Jack Grealish and go, Jack, this is a World Cup year. Yeah? Come to Spurs, play, be our main left-sided footballer. Yeah, get that freedom back that you had at Villa. Wouldn't that be lovely? Impress Thomas Tuchel. It's mental.
I had this chat yesterday on the show I did, and the amount of people that turned around and said, no, not Jack Grealish. Basically, he's not good enough for our team and that. I'm just... Sometimes you do actually think, do people even watch some football? I know people have got different opinions on it and see different sides play different ways. I get that. But anyone can tell me that Jack Grealish is not better than what we have up there.
Oh,
I don't know. And it was like last season, me and you sat here. I mean, I do remember this show particular because it was just funny. Me and you sat here and went through 5, if not 6 midfielders. And I don't want to debate on this, Ian, that we could have got for the same price or less than Gray and also less wages. And literally everyone we mentioned, from Locatelli to what's his name, who went Roma, said no, we wouldn't have had him. And a lot of people said no, he's not good enough for Spurs. And we're like, you're telling me Locatelli ain't good enough for this club? And just
players like that should have been bought, Dan. I've never argued that point. We were short.
No, I didn't say you did.
Skip left. Lo Celso left. We didn't bring anybody. I think we brought Bergvall and Gray in.
But even when we do look at players, Ian, but even when we do look at them, and we talk about them on here or whatever, or they get mentioned or whatever, there is a lot on the fan base, not everyone, but a lot on the fan base that straight away, nah, not good enough, too old, or he had a bad year at Munich, so he won't work at Spurs. Grealish, no, he's a pisshead, whatever else than that. He didn't play much for City last year.
That Grealish
he didn't have much. Yeah, he didn't have much of a season last year, so he's awful. He's terrible. I mean, you got people saying it now. I mean, each their own at the end of the day. Whatever turns you on, like I say. But anyone who can tell me that Jack Grealish is not better than Odegaard, he's not better than what Son has become, he's not better than what we have seen off of Tell. I mean, I don't know. Maybe Thomas Frank can bring something out of Tell that we just haven't seen, but we can only judge by what we see. How anyone can tell me that Jack Grealish is not better than anybody we have got on that left?
But I
don't know.
Will he go for a player like Grealish? Grealish hasn't even been mentioned, has he? Been
no, we don't know. I don't know.
But this is the
point.
The
option's there.
Nice to see Spurs try something like what I will give is I do see other clubs trying to do these loan deals with these good players, and they're trying to look at Villa last season when it was like, okay, we haven't got a lot of money to buy, let's go and get Asensio and Rashford on loan. Like we're going and picking up Tells on loan, they're getting Asensios and Rashfords. Now, listen, I know, Villa have got money problems, whatever, but if we remove the finances of that, fair play to them for going to get that done. Fair play. We go for the easy one. We go for the easy one. We go for the let's go and get the kid, right? Why not? Why like I said, Rashford on loan. Everyone laughed at me. No, I know people are going about his attitude. Bigger clubs are picking up the players that our fans turn their noses up at. There must be a reason why. We're going to do it again with Garnacho. Watch, if we don't get a Garnacho, watch a Chelsea or someone like that get him, and we'll all go, oh, we could have had him. Right? That's what we do. I just want to show you this, right? So this is, I'm not comparing us to Atletico Madrid, so I want to be very clear in what I'm doing. But look at the players Atletico Madrid are picking up, right? Mm-hmm. Have a look at the. If I'm not wrong, 42 million euros is the most they've spent on one player this summer, which is, I believe, is what, 30. Hang on. There you go. 42 million euros in pounds. So 36 million pounds is the most they've spent on a footballer. Look at the quality they're picking up. Right? Buena, class. Hanko, quality. Cardoso, I'm not sold on. Almada, class little player. Ruggeri, 17 million. Pubil is getting all being raved about. Like, look at the way these clubs operate. Right? There's no 80 million pound sign in there. There's no world superstar. It goes to show that these players, look at where they've bought from. What they've bought, Atalanta in Italy, Almeria, Spain, Botafogo in Brazil, Feyenoord in Holland. They're all from outside top leagues. And I just don't know how we're not doing this. I don't know. I'm not saying we can rival them for these, but these players are everywhere, lads. Everywhere.
I mean, the other thing is with that, which is quite frustrating, is when it comes to club revenue and value, we are more than double the size of Atletico Madrid. We are more than double the size of them when it comes to money that we bring in without selling players, whatever, and club value. Club value, we are more than twice the size of Atletico Madrid.
Dan, they choose
and they can go, and they can just go and do it. And it's like the money, the way other leagues do need the money. And I do say the Italian league, there is only 3 teams in Italy that have actually spent more than 50 million. Every other way they've spent money is because they've had to sell players at the same time as well. When you actually look at the Italian league, I think there's only about 8 teams that have actually spent money as such, not just had more income as such. The players are out there at more than a good value price, and we just don't seem to go and look at them. We really don't. And
well, just quickly, Dan.
Teams like Atletico, they do. Just
quickly, Newcastle are today working to try and agree personal terms with Benjamin Sesko. They're going to have... I don't know. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. So frustrated at Tottenham. I'm so frustrated right now. I can't be told to be patient anymore either. I can't.
Getting some older players balances up the team a bit more as well, doesn't it? Experienced players like a Grealish. I mean, Grealish was one of the main reasons, in my opinion, why City managed to pull off the treble.
I agree. He was integral to that team.
That season, I think he was one of their main players. And again, why don't we just go and get him on loan? He's there for the taking. Okay, if it doesn't work too well, he can go back. And it's not money that we haven't got as such. It's not money that, I mean, if you're willing to take Timo Werner on loan and pay him over 160 grand a week, surely you could be willing to take on Jack Grealish on loan and pay him 200 grand a week. That's just common sense to me, but that's one thing we lack at Spurs.
I'd be going to City. I'd be going to City, Dan, and I'd be looking. I mean, they've got a massive City. Have got players falling out of every orifice, every pocket. You know, they've got. I'd be going to City and looking at who's on the fringes. Going, is there any like a Nathan Ake? I'm just for example. I'm not saying him per se. I'll just be looking at a Grealish. I'd be looking at an Oscar Bob, saying, "Hey, can we give him to us for a year? Let us develop Oscar Bob for a year. Let us." But we seem very transactional in windows. It seems very drawn out, boring, straightforward. There's no, like I was saying yesterday. I know Sean mocked me about the Chelsea things. He doesn't like it. Sean don't like it. If anyone says they know someone or because I worked at Chelsea, didn't like it, but I see the way they operate. You look at them every day, Chelsea are linked with another player because they have got 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 plates spinning, right? Chelsea are always looking for the deal. And they're always thinking, if we get that player in, even if it doesn't work out, next year I can sell him for 10 million more. We're just so, it's got to be one in, one out. Really? One in, one out? What are we, can't we get our team sorted? And then this is what a proper club should do. Get your players in. Go and get three more signings in that are first team players. And then you turn around and go, look, so I don't know, Basuma or whoever it is, Basuma, Richarlison, whoever, Solomon, whoever. There's no place for you. As it stands, you're not going to be registered in the 25-man Champions League squad. As it stands, you're going to be getting sporadic game time in the Premier League when there's injuries. Right? It's a World Cup year. Do you want that? But we're so, I don't know, I'll say this, Lubo. It feels nice at Spurs. It all feels very nice. Look at Man U. Man U have gone on tour, Lubo. Yeah, and they've left behind 4 players they want to sell. Right? Ruthless. You. Maybe a bit of both. Maybe they don't want to be at the club as well. You. You're not on the plane. See you later. Right? And what does that make their agent do? That makes their agent go, fuck. I need to find a club. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, sorry. I'm really frustrated. I'm so frustrated with Spurs.
It's not geared up to success. The club doesn't have that mentality. I'm sorry. It goes from the top, and if it goes from the top, it goes down. You got those owners at Fenway that are probably saying, "What's going on? What's going on? Who are we buying now? How are we going to improve?" These guys, they couldn't give a shit. Let's have another few events at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Let's get some extra marketing for the go-karting. How many people have we got on the Skywalk? That's all they're interested in. This isn't a football club.
So what's the negative that? Yeah, but what's the negative bit that it comes down from the top?
You've got to have that desire to be a success on the football pitch.
I didn't ask that. I asked who is the negative one that drains it down the pyramid, basically.
I think Lewis and Levy together. I don't think the pair of them.
But Levy's got nothing to do with it anymore, so you've got to take him out of it.
He's on the non-footballing side, but he's still there. And
well, if he's on the non-footballing side, then he has nothing to do with the negative side of football. So who is? So it's got to be the new fella. It's got to be the new fella then. If we've still got this negative attitude and Levy's on the football side, then who's the new one we just got? Who's the one we got from Arsenal? Then it's got to be something to do with him, not Levy.
What's he doing?
So Levy ain't the problem now, is he? Because he's not nothing to do with the football side.
What's he doing? I mean, what sort of budget have they actually been given? You know, nobody knows. I'm hearing there's investment waiting to go into the club, so there shouldn't be any reason not to go out and buy players. The money's
And-
there. I've been told the money's there. If the money's there, go out and spend it. What are you waiting for?
Soul Sniper, I don't think you're listening. What we're saying is we could be clever. You could get a player like Jack Grealish on a loan, save money for other areas of the pitch. Don't feel like I'm not saying that. What I love with YouTube viewers, I love it how people are so matter of fact. Just because I talk about Grealish doesn't mean I think he's the only left-sided player we should go for. There are better options than Grealish out there. But I'm saying if you can get a Grealish on loan, that solves your left-sided problem for a year. And you can, surely, Lubo, you can then kick the can down the road for a year. Then that gives the scouting team a year to say, right, let's have a look at some left-sided players in case Grealish doesn't work out.
There'll be some new players that will break through in the next 12 months. The scouts are out that they'll be seeing.
We're just so bad, aren't we? We are so bad in the market. It is unreal.
This isn't a football club. It's not a football
on another question then, yeah. I mean, most of us do know on the football sides, I mean, you can't say facts, but you can say you're pretty 99% sure that the owners are the problem. But if Levy has nothing to do with the football now, like you say, yeah, does this actually start telling you that Levy wasn't actually the main problem? The main problem was Lewis all along, and Levy was just dealing with the money he was given and just trying to get the best out of it, which obviously he didn't do very well with players and that, but was also very limited with what he was giving, because the new fella we got as well is doing basically exactly the same thing. So was he employed to do the same thing as Levy, or was he employed to do a better job on the football side? But he can only do so much as well, because the main problem was actually Lewis all the time, and Levy was just doing what he could, because it doesn't seem to have changed with the new fella.
Lewis is the money man, Dan. Lewis is the money man signed off.
I know.
Signed off at the end of the day, he's a senior partner.
Exactly.
But Levy had carte blanche on a day-to-day basis to do what he wanted on the football side. He made the decision not to bring Mane in to increase wages when Mane could join the club in August 2016. That was Levy's decision.
Look at
Levy's decision not to bring Grealish in to try and check Villa down another 3 million. These are all his decisions.
Maybe he didn't actually have that money to spend, or maybe he wanted to do it and Lewis just said no, because things don't seem to have changed there. The point I am making is maybe Levy wasn't the biggest problem that a lot of people always said he was, me being one of them. And maybe the biggest problem was actually Lewis, and Levy was just dealing with what he had, basically. Like the manager can only deal with what he's given by Levy, and because it doesn't seem to have changed. So maybe Levy wasn't the most septic thing that we actually thought, even though we do know that football isn't his best thing. And maybe Lewis is the problem, and Levy was actually trying to do a good job at what he did. They're
both the problem, Dan, because neither of them wants are desperate.
Okay, but if he's not there now, if he's, like you say, if he's nothing to do with the football side and he's on the other side, then maybe the other fella who's coming in and doing exactly the same thing, maybe it shows that the problem was actually another step further up.
As well as, definitely. No, definitely. I don't think for 1 minute, that it was Lewis saying, we've got to win, and Levy saying, no, I can't be asked. It came from Lewis as well. It wasn't just Levy. It was Enid.
That's what I'm saying.
Because Levy's the front man on a day-to-day basis, he takes the flak.
Yeah.
But
so he takes the flak, like we've sort of agreed before, he has to get the credit as well. But maybe the biggest problem all along is actually Lewis, and other people were just dealing with what they was given to deal with and just didn't do a very good job of it, basically.
Well, day-to-day situations, Dan, like not bringing in top people around you, that's down to Levy. That's down to him. Lewis has let him get on with it. Lewis has let him pick the staff. Having top people like Michael Edwards, Paul Barber, Paul Mitchell, and letting them leave, that's down to Levy. That's down to him. He runs the staff. He runs it on a day-to-day basis. He let these good people slip through his hands. There's no excuse for it. I'm
not denying that. But as all I'm saying is maybe that biggest problem wasn't there. It was actually the one step ahead. And I'm not saying Levy ain't been a problem for us or whatever else. But I'm actually starting to think now that we've got the new fella who's totally involved on the football side. I'm going by what you tell me. I don't actually know what goes on there. Maybe he wasn't actually the biggest problem. We all know he screwed up enough on transfers, this and that and whatever, but maybe the biggest problem all along has been Lewis. Solely Lewis is the main
So
instigator.
can we please get a public apology is what Danny is asking for, Lubo? That's just say it, Dan. Can we please get an apology for Daniel Levy?
I'm not in the club. I've been told by someone that Vinay is running the football side.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's what he's been brought in to do, I've been told. He's run the football side. And that's what he's doing. And
things look no different.
It doesn't appear to be. Having said that, you know, to go and spend 120 million, had the Gibbs White transfer come off, Dan, Enoch have never done that in 25 years, go and buy 3 players in 2 days for 120 million. They've never done it. They've never done it. So for me, that looked like a change of policy, change of strategy. For me, that looked completely different. Okay, hopefully the Gibbs White position will get resolved and we'll get our player.
I mean, I suppose to an extent, I'm just playing devil's advocate with it, really. Yeah, but I'm just trying to look on it on a logical side as such. Because one thing I do try hard to do is get both sides. Whether I understand the other side or agree with it is irrelevant. I just try to get the other side and try and be a bit more open with it. And to me, now that it's getting told that Levy has nothing to do with the football, but we're just running exactly the same way that we did before, basically. So maybe the biggest problem wasn't him all along.
Or
that's all I'm saying.
Or maybe he just hasn't been able to step back and keep out of it. I don't know.
We don't know. It's always buts and maybes. But that's why I'm asking the questions, because we're not doing it any different than we have done in years on. Okay, going to get 2 players or trying to get 2 players, bang, bang, back to back. You don't usually see that off Spurs, something like that. Yeah, I'll go with that one. But it's only Spurs that something like that could have gone tits up for, basically. But again, it just looks like to me that the biggest problem all along was actually the main man at the very, very top.
Oh, you're being called out. You're being called out left, right, and centre, Lubo. Lubo will bring in 2 first-team players, and you will pivot back, said Phil Coys, the leader of the Matisse Tell fan club online.
That's right. No, how you doing, Phil? Front door's just gone. Let me hold that thought.
Convenient.
Front door's just gone.
Convenient.
It's Daniel Levy and Vinay come round to get a lesson in signing players from Lubo. I'll be honest though, I'm seeing the same things. I'm seeing the same things in my chat this summer as I did last summer, Dan. And you know what, Dan? It was the same as the summer before, the summer before. All these pros that we write off. All these players, our fans going, what does Grealish do? Watch Jack, just watch Jack Grealish. He brings a skill set that not many teams have. Honestly, it's not just him. Dan, you called it. We did this with Locatelli. We did this last year with Sander Berg. We did this last year with what's his name? The right back Chelsea sold to Newcastle. Livramento.
Yeah.
All these players. Our fans just go, no. They're rubbish. What would we want him? Like, look at this. So I saw this comment that just made me laugh, right? This made me laugh. Adam Phillip, I think it was, said, we're saying that Son is washed, but we want Grealish, right? Well, Grealish is 4 years younger, a completely different profile of footballer to Son. I think that Jack Grealish needs a spark. I think he needs to go somewhere and be the main man again. I think he needs that spark.
I can agree with that because I've seen it many a time, and this is where Alex Ferguson was one of, if not the very best at it. And that was knowing how to keep his team fresh as such. Because it happened at Liverpool and it's also happened at City, where the great team, even though the players are still great and that, it sort of goes a bit stale, doesn't it? They've won everything there, done it back to back, time and time again. Some of the players actually, I don't know. It's like when you finally get your wife and that, and you're not so heavy on the weights and everything else and all that, and you slack a little bit, sort of like that sort of thing. And yeah, I think he's just one of the players that has gone a bit stale. I mean, he's a total different player to Son. The way I look on Grealish, I look on him as, instead of an out-and-out winger, I look at him as more of a target man. And he's the man, you get it to him, he gets it up there, and then he holds the ball for others to get up there. And he's excellent at holding that ball and not losing it, but getting a foul. So then we've got the cross to come in. For me, he's more of a, which you don't really, I can't really name another player that actually plays like him. out on the left as an actual target man as such, instead of more of a winger or an inside forward, gets the fouls for you, or he'll get the ball to the nearest person who can get it in there. He's excellent at holding up that ball.
I'll tell you what, never a truer word said from my Leicester City friend, Wayne Holland.
Very true.
Never a truer word said. Wayne, I sit here and talk about people like Jack Grealish and get told I'm mad, Savva, blah, blah, blah. These are the same fans that want Matisse Tell to sign for this club and want to rave about Brennan Johnson. Unfortunately, when we're talking about what we want the owners to do and how good we want to be as a club, as a fan base first, I think we really need to understand what a good footballer looks like. Listen, I've said on loan, Jack Grealish for me is a fantastic footballer. And listen to the words coming out, footballer. You called it, Dan. He is superb. He'll drag you up the pitch, right? His link-up play with Maddison, for example, and Kudus would be amazing, right? He finds those pockets of space. He's strong. He wins more free kicks than any other player. What is Thomas Frank great at setting up? Set pieces. Like, all of these things, and our fans just go, he's washed. Okay, cool. If he's washed, let's do this. The same fans in my chat saying he hasn't played a lot of football lately. How many games do you reckon he's played in the last 2 seasons, guys? I keep being told he's not played
probably around 70, I would have thought.
68 games of football he's played in 2 seasons, right? 68. Do these fans still want to keep Van der Ven and Romero? Because those two haven't played anywhere near that amount of games for Tottenham in the last 2 seasons. So does that mean that because Jack Grealish, does that mean we're getting rid of Romero and Van der Ven as well? I don't feel like we put things in logical order. I'm not saying he's the only one, guys. It's just we do this every year, Dan. Every year. Player after player after player that we think we're not good enough for, that they then end up at better football clubs than ours, and we wonder why we are where we are.
And look at who Grealish has to compete against as well.
Oh.
It's slightly, again, like when I've had people say to me, like, yeah, but Paulinho didn't make it at Bayern Munich, so he's not good enough for us. I'm like, well, going and making it, just because someone can't make it at an elite club, don't mean they're going to make it at Spurs, as we are only a big club compared to an elite club as such. Look at who he's got against him to play in that position. When you got someone like Kimmich coming up behind you, and the other fella they got there, I can't remember his bloody name, but he has real competition there. Grealish has real competition there. Yeah. We are at a point at Spurs where Brennan Johnson hardly has any competition. Well, he does now with Kudus, but hardly had any competition there. We're at a situation where Son has no competition there, really. Maddison, no competition. Van der Ven, Romero, hardly any competition. We're at that sort of stage. Whereas you go to someone like Real Madrid, you go Barcelona, go Juventus, PSG, even Inter at one stage, even though they're going right downhill now by the look of it. You go to all those much bigger elite clubs, you look at who the players have to play against. They are Man City. Grealish would have had to be looking over his shoulder every 2 minutes, and then he gets something wrong. He knows he's missing 2 or 3 games because the man behind him's just took his place.
Right.
We haven't really got that in.
We don't have.
No, we haven't got that at all.
Can I just come back to when I had to jump out and let my daughter in?
Yeah. Tell her to get a key.
Yeah.
Give her a key, you tight ass.
Phil, king of the head of the Matthias Tell fan club. How you doing? Good to meet you last weekend. I'm not pivoting. I've said all along, let's wait until the end of the transfer window to see what happens. We normally leave it late. I'm waiting to see what happens. The next 5 weeks are absolutely key with this club. Let's see if there is any ambition at the club under Vinay. If there isn't, if we're going to finish up with what we've got now, then it's been an appalling transfer window.
Yeah.
So no pivoting from me. Let's just see what happens. And on Monday. The Monday show on the 1st of September, transfer window would have closed at 5 p.m. I think. We'll know then. What the position is in terms of strengthening the squad. Let's see.
Yeah, yeah, it's just a tough one. I just think we need to get to the stage where we all ask of better from our owner and from our scouts. But as a fan base, we seem to want to defend every average player we have at the club. But then
I
if a
agree.
player's mentioned elsewhere, no, they're not good enough. And I'm truly baffled that I'm baffled if people actually watch the players properly, Lubo. Like, I mean, properly watch them, or whether they're just looking at their GA at the end of the weekend. I truly, right, because what I hear when people talk about some of these players, like I hear people say Doku, oh, he's not that good. Watch Doku as a footballer. Yeah, there's things that need to develop. He's a bloody talented winger. Yeah, this guy's got more skill than I've seen. Like, this guy is truly talented. Does he need to get his GA better? Yeah, but that's what Pep will work on it with. I'm just using him as an example, not that we buy Lubo, but I just feel like we've become an era now where people aren't actually watching the footballer. We're just looking at GA. And that's a really dangerous thing to do for me.
It is. Flicking back to what Dan just said about the lack of competition. Just got the team down here. If you know, for me, you got your back five that I am happy with. And then for the other six, for me, you've got Kudus, Bergvall, Maddison. And that's it. We are 3 short in the first 11. And I think we're 4 or 5 short further down as well to come in. You know, that you've got Danso that will come into the team and will slot in. I think Spence would as well.
See, this is what we do. Look, people don't understand.
There aren't too many. There aren't too many, to be honest with you. Johnson obviously will come in and do a job. Dragerson, hopefully. Don't know how he'll be under Frank, but hopefully he will. There aren't many. We haven't got many. You know, if we have another injury crisis, the first 11 is going to be severely weakened.
So can I just
sorry, hang on. Sorry, Mr. Fox. Sorry, what on earth have I said that was defending Levy?
No, that was more me.
Sorry, what? Sorry, Ferg. I don't like when I see lies in the chat. I don't like it. Sorry, what on earth did I say that was defending Daniel Levy? Aren't I the one sitting here moaning about our transfer window? Am I not the one sitting here saying I am very worried now? I don't understand when people say shit like that. Just quickly, Alex, before I bring you in, I've got to get these super chats done. Big up to Dean Law. Said, big up to have a great show last night from the Five Amigos. Generational talents. Even though I've got Alex in my chat last night going, they haven't invited me on. Yeah, it's called the Spurs 5. Like, I don't know what you were expecting. We're not inviting guests on. Big up, Dean. Really appreciate that, mate. Thank you very much. Emma Morton, thank you very much, as always, in here being very generous with a £5 super sticker. Very generous indeed. If Emma can put money in, you lot can be more generous with the likes and the subscribers. We are 209 away from 20,000. 209. Please smash that button. Thank you, Emma. Thank you to George. He's a big fan of the channel, on the road to 2 years. Oh yes, you're 1 month away from your 2-year membership. Big up, George. Thank you for everything you do. Really appreciate that. Thank you very much. You've now come in and given a super sticker as well. Very generous, my man. Thank you. Thank you indeed. And Rob Welsh said Arsenal and Liverpool equal Waitrose. Spurs equal Lidl. At the moment, yeah. At the moment, I'd liken it to this. When I was buying all the meat for the barbecue last week, and we went down to, I never know if it was Lidl or, what's the other one? Aldi. I never know. They're the same to me. Right? Do you know the one at the Mottingham roundabout, Dan? You know where the Harley Davidson shop is?
Mm.
Yeah, that one, Lidl or Aldi. Anyway, whichever one that is. And I remember going down, it's all these products I don't know, you know, like the rip-offs of Walkers and Pringles and all that. And every now and then you see a product you know and you go, oh, but they've got Kit Kats, right? That's what Spurs are. We're the unknown. Every now and then we get a Kudus. He's the Kit Kat. He's the original. He's the proper brand. That's what Spurs are. Big up to you, Rob.
One question I just want to ask quick. Oh, sorry, you're doing your call out. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, just quickly. Big up, Rob. Thank you very much for that. Mark, thank you very much for the super sticker. Really appreciate you, my man. Thank you. And also to the person that just subscribed, as we are now 208 away. Big up to you. Thank you, Mark. Really appreciate you. Big up to Andy Lester, who's put in a super sticker as well. Thanking you, my man. Always appreciated. It helps the business grow. Thank you very much. And Tony Rodriguez, always very generous to me, always has been. Big up to you, man. A mod, a member, always generous. Chucked in a super sticker. Big up to you, Tony. Thank you very much.
Right. Just one controversial point I want to put out here, and I know this will probably annoy a few people. Son and Grealish. What has Son actually done in his career? Okay, he scored the goals, no two ways about it, and he's got the goal assists. And 10 years down the line, he's managed to get a trophy. Not totally his fault. And what has Jack Grealish done in his career? What moments has Jack Grealish been in where he has had to be in a Champions League final, or he has had to go through stages to win that title or win that cup or whatever else? Let's weigh up what they've both done in their career as separate players, totally different players. Yes, Son scored the goals. Fair enough. And he's got a trophy. What has Jack Grealish done? Probably about 10 to 15 times more than what Son has ever done, apart from scoring goals.
Dan, it's apples to oranges we're comparing here in terms of the teams that Son has played for.
No. Why didn't Son get the move that Grealish did?
That's what I was about to say. So what? You can only
Barcelona asked about him. He didn't want to leave. He didn't.
That's on him.
So that's on him then, isn't it?
That's on him then for having
no
ambition.
This before, he's too much of a nice guy.
So who? When you look at them and weigh them up on stats and paper, like everything does, okay, you can have all the goals in the world, but if you ain't got no trophies to show for it, okay, he's got one, fair play. When you look at what they've done in their career, who has had a 10 times better career? Grealish has had a 10 times better career than Son has got a lot more to show for it, has been in more heavy situations and performed in it than Son or Kane ever did at Spurs as well, because whenever it comes to a final, Kane always disappeared. Who has been the more established player in their career?
I think club-wise, Grealish has had a better career. I think international-wise, I think Sonny has. The Asian Cup, the equivalent to the Euros or the,
Okay. How many European? You know what? But what I mean is, if you're diverting it again, basically onto the international part. But okay, you want to bring that up. Jack Grealish has been in.
Grealish for club, Dan, no question.
Mm-hmm.
He's look at the medals. He's played in a much better team. Again, he took his.
But then divert it. Grealish has had a lot more competition to where he's had to play in England than Son has in South Korea, for God's sake. Exactly.
The other thing is as well, I think they're very different players, right? Like when people are always just going to the GA, they're very different footballers. For me, I think if you could put Jack Grealish's technical ability into Son's pace and finishing, I think you've got the world's best player, right? The thing is, Son for me, I've always said it, Son for me is a ruthless finisher. Not so much now, but Son was a ruthless finisher, brilliant on that transition, gets the ball, cuts in, boom, right? Grealish for me, though, outside the box is a tremendous technical footballer, right? The difference is people go, oh, you'd replace him with him. I don't think it's a like-for-like swap for me, because what we've seen from Son the last few years is he's getting the ball out on the left, doesn't know what to do with it, pass it 5 yards inside. If Grealish gets the ball out on the left, Grealish knows, right, do I come inside? Do I hold it up? Do I bring someone else in? Do I run at goal? Look, they're very different footballers. All I'll say is somebody paid 100 million for Jack Grealish and took him to the best team in the world. And during the quadruples, the treble winning season, he played 50 games. During the treble winning season, he played 50 games, right? He can't be a mug. Our fans are mugging this lad off when he was integral to Man City winning a treble, right? That's where we are as a fan base now on our level of footballers. That's why when we see a Matisse tell people
I still want him, but he still fell off a lot recently in recent times though, and that's on him to try and improve, because every single time if you have a good season, and this is the same with Phil Foden, right? When he had that great season last season, the seasons before. He didn't improve on the following season, and that's always a challenge for a player, a major player, because unfortunately you can't just stand still, because if you do stand still, you get still. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that, I think, unfortunately, has happened with Grealish. But
I agree.
I'm not dismissing the signing. I'm definitely not dismissing the signing because at the end of the day, he takes us. You know, he's got that experience of being in a top club, right? He's been in a club where there are lots of top players where he's not the main man, right? So coming to Tottenham, it would be a breath of fresh air for him. You know what I mean? So a
I
different
agree.
environment, like Kudos, and that's it. And
Don't you think it's
the thing is,
consistency, Alex?
it's
Don't you think
consistency.
it's
Yeah.
a lot to do with consistency as well? Like
Yeah.
in terms of at Man City, and I think people don't get this as well. At Man City, there are very few of the players at Man City that are guaranteed to start every week. So Haaland, I think we all agree, right? Haaland starts every week if fit.
Rodrigo.
I don't know if that's the case at the moment. I've got to be
Oh,
honest, but you can have an
Alex,
argument at another time.
Alex, of course it is. Erling Haaland's one of the greatest strikers in world football. Of course it is. Come on. Haaland starts every week for City when he's fit. De Bruyne has for the last however many years. Now he's got older and moved on. Yeah. Rodri starts every game for Man City, right? Other than that, if you actually look outside of that, none of them are actually guaranteed a game of football. No, that's why hardly anyone puts Man City players in their fantasy football team because you don't know if they're going to play. The difference is if a Jack Grealish came to Spurs, he's starting every Premier League game, right? If fit, he's going to start every game on the left.
Would get into a team. Goodogan would get into the team as well, and he's looked down as himself at Chelsea, Man City as well. Just for another example, isn't it?
Yeah, but I'm talking about the key players that start every game for City. Isn't it? It's the spine. It's Rodri. It was De Bruyne. It was Haaland, Ederson, like the spine, and Ruben Diaz as well. The rest of them, though, one week you've got Akanji at centre half. The next week you've got Ake there. One week you've got Lewis at right back. Then you've got Nunes. You know, you've got Gundogan. Now it's Silva. You've got Doku this week. Then it's Savio. Now it's Bob. Now it's Grealish. We don't have that. We would have those players. They would play week in, week out. And I think people need to understand that. They also need to understand that Man City have evolved a bit in the last year. Man City are changing away from what they were. They've gone for a lot younger players. And now Jack Grealish doesn't fit into that. Same way Kevin De Bruyne didn't fit into that. Same way Kyle Walker, who's gone, doesn't fit into that. They've started to move them on. Look, I don't want to make this about a Grealish show, but I just don't think we're in any way, shape or form a club that can look at a Jack Grealish and think we're too good for you. Like we've got
we'll complain about
Moore, Solomon, Hill, Tell. Like what are we doing here? Odegaard, Johnson, and we're looking at Grealish and going, nah, you don't get in that 11.
If you complain about if you're not complaining about Kudos, right, who had a bad season last season, right? So why are you complaining about Grealish that had, you know what I mean? Like he only came into the Premier League how many years ago? So you could. So we're happy with Kudos, but we're dismissing Grealish. And on that premise, Kudos didn't have a good season last season, so we shouldn't really be interested in Kudos then, isn't it? You know what I mean?
But yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people, Alex, unfortunately, is very short-sighted because if we're going to go by this metric that if somebody's had a below par season that they're crap, then all of our players should basically be sold from last year.
And we bought in Timo Werner after how many years of not having a good season, and we were happy with that. Lots of people were backing that, weren't they? You get what I'm saying? Like Timo Werner, like who only was involved in maybe an assist against in their Champions League win. You know what I mean? Chelsea. That was how many years ago? But people were backing him and defending him all season last season. Only when it turned out to be him so crap last season, it was so bad that the manager decided to like completely wipe him out completely, right? That then people started to say, yeah, it was a terrible signing. You know what I mean? So I don't understand why we're having a go at Jack Grealish. I've got to be honest. You know what I mean? I just don't get it. You know what I mean?
It's like saying Phil Foden's not a good footballer because he had a below par season last year. 12 months ago, the boy was crowned the best player in the country. Right? 12 months later, everyone's going, never rated him. He's not very good. That's football fans, unfortunately. That's football fans. We can't look at bigger picture. Like I say this all the time. Me, Alex, Dan, Lubo, whether we work for ourselves now or other people or whatever in the past, we've all been at that one company, right? Where the job's got stale, right? You've been there too long. There's a changing management, something. You're not happy. You're going home. You're really moody with your other half, or you're not happy in life. And then you change job, you move, you've got a new set of colleagues. Oh, it's great. Suddenly, you know what? You're back to being your old self. Footballers can have that as well. Not every player that has a down year means that they're now shit, or this word, washed. They're washed. How do these people know? Like, it's madness. Madness for me.
As far as I'm concerned, on the last bit on Grealish, total different player to Son. I totally get that, yeah. But again, another one with me is I personally think that Son looked half the player he was. I think Lee said it earlier as well. The second Harry Kane left.
I agree.
Whereas, okay, Grealish has had world-class players around him all the time and all this. I totally get that. But he's a total different player. But I think for the way it is now, I don't think Grealish is at his stage where he's on the way down to the extent that Son is. Grealish isn't a player that relies on his pace. Son does. And like I've said many a time, when a player relies on his pace so much, they always, well, I say always, 9 times out of 10, their career falls down a lot quicker than someone who doesn't rely on pace. So when you rely on your pace that hard, as you get older, you're going to lose it. And Son's already losing his pace for the past 2 years now. And you look at other players like Kane. Kane's going to last a lot longer because he don't rely on his pace unless he gets an injury. Look what happened with Michael Owen. Second he lost his pace, half the player he was, not even that. Then you go and look at someone like Teddy Sheringham, who almost plays football like a game of chess and he's 3 moves ahead of himself because I could probably walk quicker than he could run. He plays until he's 42, 43.
So is that the argument for Johnson, then?
I just think some people need to accept that Sonny's on the way down and it's time to go. But we go back to the stage. We are too sentimental at Spurs and too nice.
Is that the argument for Johnson, then? Because he's got pace. And when that pace goes, look what happened with him. That's why people don't rate. The
slowest, quickest player I've ever seen, Alex. That's the
Who's like Johnson?
Yeah, Johnson, the slowest, quickest player I've ever seen.
Because he was saying that because he scores goals, he scores in assists and stuff. Well, it's goals, it's money goals, right? But if he didn't have pace, look what's happened to Sterling.
This is our trophy winner we're talking about here. Do you mind?
Well, no, but I'm just saying. Well, Timo Werner was in
goal scorer.
Yeah, but no disrespect. Like I just gave you an example. Timo Werner that made the assist for whoever it was. You know what I mean? Look what happened to him. You get what I'm saying? So
didn't Timo Werner score a winner in a Champions League final? Or was that Havertz?
I think it was Havertz, or I think it was. I don't know. It was Jorginho. I can't remember. But he was.
But he played the final.
He was involved in that. He was involved in the involvement in that goal. I think it was against. I think it was Man City, wasn't it? I think it was Man City.
Let me check.
I can't remember.
I mean, I think it was Havertz who scored it.
We check. Yeah, listen. And by the way, I know the chat will do what the chat do. I'm not saying he'd be my number one choice. I'm just saying if Spurs rocked up tomorrow and announced Jack Grealish has signed on a year's loan, I think it's fantastic business. But talking of Son, and his number one fan has arrived, James Flower. This is what Fabrizio Romano posted yesterday or about 10 hours ago, I think it was. Well, Fabrizio Romano couldn't sleep, so he was sending booty calls to the internet. So this is what he said. He said, this was 11 hours ago, LAFC have already presented their initial proposal to Heung-min's son as the new start of their project. Decision up to Son as he will speak to Thomas Frank and clarify his future. Spurs will let Son decide about his next step. That's the bit that gets me. James, you love this subject. Go for it.
Just a bit.
First of all, congrats to you and Lubo and the boys yesterday. Great show. Good to see the numbers. Good to see the numbers you boys had. So well done to that.
Monopoly, right?
Yeah, stealing all the views from everybody else. I think that's disgusting, but we won't go into that.
Yeah, thank you.
Son, I had this conversation yesterday. The fact the club are going to allow a player to dictate whether he stays or goes is an absolute just dreadful. absolutely dreadful. As a big club, you go, thank you very much for your services. We appreciate everything you've done. You're an absolute legend. You have no space in my squad anymore. You're no longer good enough. And that's what you should do if you're a big club. Let's face it, the geezer's been shocking for 16 months. And I mean shocking for 16, 18 months. And even this weekend or the weekend just gone, it just go, mate. It's not. People are saying, "Oh, get him in the box. He's a good finisher. He's good in movement. His movement's shocking. He can't control a ball. He can't beat a man, and his finishing's gone up a boil." Listen, he's an absolute. He's a legend. He's a Tottenham Hotspur legend. He'll go down in a legend. Won us. Well, he didn't win us the Europa League, but he was part of the captain when we won the Europa League. But you, at some point, big clubs. And we slate Daniel Levy and whoever's in charge for not acting like a big club. And yet us as fans are asking us to keep our Deadwood as such over sympathy. For me, one of the best wingers. Yeah, Deadwood. One of the best wingers for me that I've seen and were in their prime was Riyad Mahrez. Did Man City fans and they go, no, Mahrez. We need to keep Mahrez. They're like, off you go, Mahrez.
Very underrated.
In comes the next guy. Not us. Our fans want to be a big club. But want to keep players. Richarlison, let's give him another year under Frank. So let's see how he gets on.
We want to be a big club until the ruthless actions that are needed actually get asked about. We want to be a big club until we have to go, right, thanks for everything, see you later. Oh, but that Son, he's amazing. But
James, you're not big on Sonny then?
I'm one of his biggest fans. I genuinely am. He's one of the best wings I've ever seen play for Tottenham. But unfortunately, I can separate my heart and my head. People that can't separate their head from their heart are the problem with Tottenham Hotspur.
That's right.
So now can I do a devil's advocate here?
No, you can't, because your opinion is washed. No,
it's not washed, James. James, you need to get to know that. Bro. You know what I mean?
I want to hear the devil's advocate. Everyone loves an advocate.
Because I think this is why and this is why I've got my doubts on Thomas Frank, and it goes back to what the point.
I told you not to say yes.
James, the main event's still speaking, bruv. Yeah,
James was
let it lie.
right.
The point is though, right. Right. This is the thing. I try and I lose my thought.
Think about it, mate.
But yeah, so what I say is that this is what goes back to the point of what was said yesterday, even though I ignored the show because I'm not on it. Steady was saying that Thomas Frank is he's trying to do what the owners want and stuff like that. Really, I think he's kind of realised that he may have to use some of the players that he's got at the moment, because this is why he's suddenly decided to do 2 friendlies with Wickham. And what the other one is? Luton as well, right? Yeah. And he's doing this whole thing with every single player needs to have their go or something like that. Because I think he's actually started to realise that, I'm maybe not going to get all the players I'm going to get. So I might have to see what these players are like right now, because these are the only players I'm going to have. And then maybe if they're not good enough, I might have to let them go. Now, for me, I think that's silly. I think you should know what players you need to let go of, because let's be honest here, if they were good enough, some of these young players, right, they would have been in the team a long time ago. You know what I mean? So it's like, I'm sorry, but like young players.
But you just said you're going to play devil's advocate and said nothing about Son.
No. I'm just saying.
What are we doing?
I'm saying about this includes Son as well. Right?
Wait, no. I told you. We shouldn't have allowed it around that.
Don't dismiss the main event like that, bruv, because that ain't gonna do well for you. The point I'm making is, right. It's not copium. It's truth. You know what I mean? Because it was going to.
But it's not. What is the devil's advocate? What is the devil's advocate for keeping Son?
Keeping Son is at the moment, he may want to look at Son, right, as well as all the other players, right, because he knows that maybe he will not get the players he wants in right now, right? Because look at what's going on right now. For example, why are we still hailing on Morgan Gibbs White?
I'm talking about Son. You said devil's advocate for Son.
Yes, I'm saying I'm including Son in this whole thing as well. That's what
No,
I'm saying.
you haven't. You spoke about Gibbs White and talk about
I'm
Son.
no, I'm talking about Son. I'm including Son in my argument here. That's what I'm trying to say to you, James. That's what I'm trying to say, right? Just to
So basically, what I said is big clubs let go of their star players, and that's how they want to go. And your
that's
devil's
including
advocate, for that is maybe he's given more time so we can look at him. That's completely irrelevant to what I've just said.
You've just included saying Richarlison. Why are we not letting go of Richarlison? Why are we not letting go of all these other players that are not good enough? Right.
I was talking about the mentality, not Richarlison. I said the mentality.
But why do you think he's doing these friendlies? Why is he doing an extra friendly then against Wickham? Why is he just put it in straight away just now?
Because he wants to see all the players, Alex. And
I personally think he wants to look at the youth. He wants to look at all the youth because we've got a vast amount of youth.
Ask the question. Why? So ask the question why he's doing that right now. Then
because he wants to look at all the players. Alex,
okay, so why do you need to look at that?
Why? Because he's the manager.
Because what people were saying yesterday on the show yesterday that everyone was bigging up yesterday, right? Saying the club make decisions on transfers. Yeah, the manager is not doing that supposedly because the manager has only got 18 months. He's only got 18 months. Right.
Mate,
by the way, Sean said this, by the way. Sean said this, by the way.
Hang on, I feel like Alex, I think the problem we've got here, I feel like we're conflating about 4 different subjects into one conversation. Whether the manager's got 18 months or not is going to be down to how well he does, right? That's got nothing to do with the transfer window now. The club will have players that they say, hey, here's who we've scouted. What do you think on this list? And Thomas Frank will go, yep, like him, don't like him, don't like him, like him, like him, like him. I say this all the time. This is the point I made to Stell last night. Not every manager gets every signing they want. Have a look right now. Eddie Howe isn't getting every signing he wants because it might not be that it's not that Newcastle aren't trying. Those players are rejecting Newcastle, right? That doesn't mean that the board aren't trying to get him what he wants. 2 different things, right? Pep Guardiola wanted Florian Wirtz. Pep Guardiola, the greatest manager of the last decade or 2, doesn't get every player he wants. But when it's Spurs, we seem to think that the manager's going to be given every footballer he wants. Alex, now let's look at the basics of the friendlies, which I don't think have got anything to do with anything. Spurs fly out in, 6 days, right? We have 3 games on tour. We have 3 games on tour, if I'm not wrong, right? Newcastle, Bayern Munich, Arsenal. 3 games.
Fly out in about 3 or 4 days we fly out, yeah.
No, but we got 3 games on the Asian tour, right?
2. And then we go to Germany to play Bayern Munich.
Oh, yeah, semantics. Yeah, you know what I mean. We got 3 games on our tour, right?
Yeah.
3 games. Then we're playing PSG. So I think it makes sense to chuck in the extra friendly. It makes sense to chuck in the extra friendly because otherwise he's got 1 friendly in the UK and 3 friendlies abroad to look at his entire squad in games of football, Alex.
I'm not sure. Agree with
that. So what did I say there that wasn't factually correct?
I don't think it's just factually correct. I don't think there's any factual thing about it. I think there's looking at it a different way as well. Because for me, that could look. You could look at it a different way though, and I don't understand why people are having a go because I think people are just being silly here. My point is though, it looks to the fact, the whole point of that we haven't got the players that the players that haven't gone yet, right? He's got 30 players. He's got how many players that he's got already? So he has to whittle that down to how many players. He has to whittle that down completely because of the Champions League squad, right? So for me, right, if he was actually very decisive, he could just whittle that down very, very quickly and say, well, you're not part of my squad. You can just find yourself.
He's only had 1 game, Alex.
The point I'm making is, an example I can give you is Chelsea with I forgot his name now. That's just completely gone out my mind. Maresca, right? His mindset was he came in at Chelsea and said, "Okay, I've got these players. Okay, these players. Sorry, you're not part of my squad. You've got to find something else to go." Right?
After a week and 1 game, he did that, did he?
Well, yeah, but he did it. He did it. He was very, very ruthless. And did it.
After a week and one game, he did that.
But point I'm making is though, James, regardless whether it was a week or whatever, let's stop thinking about the time frame.
Listen, Alex. First of all, I'm still waiting for you to play devil's advocate to the
I'm
actual
playing devil's
thing
advocate
that I
because I
wanted.
just said to you what I put the bloody
you've kind of gone around.
James. What are you talking about, James?
You've gone around
Bloody hell,
everything.
What are you doing, James?
About, you don't even know what you're talking about. I don't even you know what you're talking about. Do you know what you're talking about?
You know
You ain't got a clue what you're talking about. Mate, you don't even know what you're talking about. You just said, listen, you just said, I'm gonna repeat you. I'm gonna repeat what you said.
Listen to me, bruv. You're not listening,
no,
bruv.
you don't make sense.
You're pissing me off.
You don't make sense.
You're pissing me off now, bruv.
Okay, Alex, bring it.
No,
bring
it's
it down.
pissing me off now. Okay. It's like I'm making a point, and people are not bloody listening. I'm gone.
Right. James, James, do me a favour, Alex. He's gone.
Mate, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I asked him a question and he got upset because I asked him a question. He said, let's judge him like Maresca did. And I said, did I not? Well, he done all of that after 1 week and one game. And then he went, no, well, it doesn't matter about that. Well, how can you judge Frank on 1 week and one game, but then compare him to Maresca that's had a whole pre-season? I'm sorry. It doesn't make sense. And because I called him out on that bullshit, you don't like it.
Hang on, I've just said to him to come back. Look. Daddy Lubo, what have you got to say about what you just witnessed on the screen?
I think Alex has got to be patient. I think he's just got to be patient regarding Frank. I think, listen, none of us know that this is a step up for him. So this is a new challenge for him. He's at a much bigger club for the first time in his career. He's jumped up a couple of levels, maybe one level. And I think people have just got not just Alex, but everyone's just got to wait and see how he's, we haven't even started a league. He hasn't played a competitive game yet.
Yeah.
So I think everyone's just got to chill out, relax. Let's see how it goes. The Premier League season does not close forever at the end of this season. So, if we don't get all the players we need going forwards for this season, then in the transfer window, maybe it'll happen in January. Maybe it'll happen next summer. I think people just got to relax. Let's see how he does. We're going to improve massively because he's a proper coach. So that's a major positive just to start the season. We've got Kudus in. Danso's been made permanent. Vuskovic looks a great prospect. There are some real positives.
Lubo's allegiance has slowly started to move away from the Archie Gray fan club, and it's now moving towards Vuskovic, isn't it? We all see what you're doing, Lubo.
See you. Last year I was hopeful Gray would break through. Listen, he played 40-something, 50-something games. Terrific for a kid of 18.
Painful, wasn't it?
He did well. He won three. He's got 3 winners' medals. Gray will be just fine.
Gray did so well. More centre backs and more centre mids. On a serious note, by the way, the deal has just been done. By the way, for Trafford to Man City, it's just been done. On a serious note, I think what I disagree with Alex on is I don't think that them putting another friendly in tomorrow morning is a bad thing at all. There are a lot of footballers to see. I want to ask you guys this. We've got Wickham at 11 a.m., right? And then we've got Luton at 3 p.m. Are we expecting to see very much an A and a B team? Or are we expecting to see a mixture of the two? What are we expecting? Like, i.e., are we going to see one team which consists of the poorer players, like the Archie Grays, like the Sons? Just kidding. Are we going to see one team that maybe plays in the morning at Hotspur Way, which is made up of the younger players, and then maybe the first team's going to be at Luton? Or do you think we're going to see a mixture of the two?
I would like to see a bit of a mixture, but like, for example, if you're going to have Kudus on one side, I would like to see Mikey Moore on the other to see how he would do in a first team scenario. I don't just want us to put out, Devines, Donnelly's, Grays, all in one team, because if we do lose, they're all going to kind of be on the same level. You may get one or two shine, but as a whole, I think it's easier to judge a player when they're surrounded by better players. So I would mix them a little bit.
Okay. I think you'll see Solomon at Luton tomorrow for his first game. I think you'll see Gray and Odebear at Luton as well for their first games. The rest, it'll be mainly a first team at Luton with a sprinkling of others, probably mainly kids playing against Wickham. By the way, can I just answer Lee? Good afternoon, Lee. How you doing?
What time?
1:06. Just to say, obviously, I want players to come in ASAP. But the way I'm looking at it, I was asked to comment on what Alex is saying about Frank and not dealing with stuff quickly enough. Frank's got to have a proper look at all the players he's got before he makes final decisions. You can't just walk in a club and just go on preconceived ideas of what players are like when from Brentford. You've got to come in. If he's professional, which he is, he will come in and he will look at the players. He will look at all the aspects of the players, not just on the pitch, mentality, etc., etc. Not cheating on Gray. I'm still very
Ian.
much.
I'm not cheating on Gray. I like the way you've answered it.
I disagree. I disagree with that, Ian. Totally, 100%. Let's say 75% disagree with that. A real manager comes into there, as far as I'm concerned, a good one, and he already has a very, very good idea of what he wants to do, who's there, who he wants to keep, and who he doesn't want to keep. I mean, looking at that Tottenham team and that, a decent manager comes in there who's been in the Premier League for is this going to be his 5th year now? Seen most of the players play, seen them over the season, had to play against them. Also would have done, you expect, his homework before he goes in there, should already know 75% of what he wants to do. Not have to play them several games and that to judge every single one of them. Now, 1 or 2 players, 3 or 4 even, now I can understand that. Actually, I'm going to play a different way. Will this fella work my way? But any decent manager out there already has a good idea of what he wants and doesn't want and should know 75, 80% about the players. So I disagree on what you're saying. There is no way he should be able to have to play 5-6 games before he can make his decision on that whole team. Couple of players maybe, but the whole lot of it, totally disagree. No.
Let him see, Dan. You can't judge a player.
Oh, I can.
Hang on. I haven't finished yet. I haven't finished the sentence yet.
That's
I was going to say, you can't judge a player based on the chaos of Ange's system. You just can't.
I could judge him on 2 years before. I could judge him on years before.
Spot on, yeah. That's what I was going to say. That's what I was going to say.
Not if you want
Ange's system stop a man beating his fullback. Did Ange's system mean that Archie Gray couldn't pass the ball 5 yards and was piss weak in midfield? No,
his passing stats were excellent. You conflate. You're moving off the subject. You're trying to throw me by moving off the subject.
No, I'm not. I've answered your question.
You are. Frank wants to see if the players, his system is different to Ange and different to other coaches that have had these players prior to them joining Spurs.
Is Solomon good enough for a Champions League team?
I don't know.
Is Brian?
You don't know.
Fuck off here. Seriously,
if you don't know, then I do not respect your footballing opinion anymore.
No.
If you do not know if Solomon is good enough to play, so you don't know if Solomon should be asked. No, wait, let me answer it first. Let me answer that one thing you said, and you can come back. So if Thomas Frank gets drawn against Real Madrid away, first game of the Champions League season, you don't know if Solomon should be starting that game.
Would I want Solomon or Tell? I want Solomon in front of Tell, definitely. That's my opinion.
Wow.
That answers you.
That doesn't. Yeah, well, that's just delusional. But yeah.
Why is it delusional?
On this point, why do you want Daniel Levy out? You seem to like all these players that he's bought that aren't clearly good enough, but you back them to the hill. Honestly, this is the one thing, and I say it to your face because I am right now. This is what I don't get, Lubo. You sit and you absolutely moan about Daniel Levy. I'm pretty sure. hang on. I'm pretty sure you probably sit down for dinner with your wife and your kids, and you probably moan about Daniel Levy at dinner as well. Daniel Levy's fault that the peas are slightly too hard or whatever it may be, right? You moan about him 24/7. And then when we talk about people he's brought in that aren't good enough, like Gray and like Solomon, you find a way to go, oh, I don't know, these are good Which one is it? Do you want better?
I'm sorry.
Or are you happy with mediocrity?
No. Don't. You're conflating things here.
No, don't use my words. You know I like the conflation words. Don't you use my words?
You're normally clear-headed. You sort of got a bit blurry. Yeah.
All the fanfare of last night has got to my head, Lubo.
It has a bit. Yeah, it has a bit. Come down to earth. All I'm saying is that if Mikey Moore's going off on loan, and if Sonny goes off to the States, at the moment, as it stands, I'm being told Frank's not going to play three at the back, so you're not going to play with wing backs. If you don't play with wing backs, he's going to play a three across the middle. Now, for me, if he does that, I will play Maddison on the left, which is where he played for Leicester. That's what I would do. For me, that is a better option than Tell or Solomon. But for me, let's see what Solomon's like. We haven't seen him for a couple of years nearly. Let's see what the July 2025 version of Solomon is like. None of us. James. None of us are happy.
With it.
None of us are happy with Tell being first choice on the left wing
or Solomon.
So, but if you've got a choice of one or the other, who are you going for? I'd rather see what Solomon's like.
I'm struggling with it, Lubo, man. I've got to say, I'm really struggling with that opinion. You make your mind up on Timo Werner after seeing him half a season, but yet Solomon's been in the Prem and been around for like 3 seasons, and yet we want to give him another go.
Solomon plays 7 games, James. How are you going to judge on 7 games?
That's enough, man. That's enough.
No, it's not enough. It's not enough.
You're useless, mate. Mate, he's useless. Then don't complain when we go out of the Champions. Look, I do not want to hear it. You love Levy. You're happy with finishing 17th. You've got the team that you deserve. Glory, glory, Tottenham Hotspur. Ian Lubo loves Levy. Ian Lubo loves Levy. I'm sorry. You've got the team you deserve. You're prepared to give people like Solomon a chance. I don't want to hear it.
You don't want to hear it? Then don't listen to it then. But I'm here.
Yes, Alex. Get back in here and banter that James Flower.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he's trying to intimidate me now.
There's no listen. There's no intimidation. It's just facts, and you don't like facts.
The problem is, yeah. It's not that I'm getting frustrated because I just getting frustrated that people say.
Pretty frustrated. You did look pretty frustrated.
Yeah, I was frustrated because the thing is, though, people will say the same thing I say, right? That I heard yesterday on the show. By the way, it's a good show. It's just that it doesn't invite the main event, and the main event loves that sort of thing. You know what I mean? And that's not having a go at you,
he was in the chat having a pop that we didn't invite him on, even though he's not part of the panel. Like
I know, but it's just when you got people like Sean on the show and Johnny on the show that was chatting crap as well. It rises to the box office's ego all day, every single day. You know what I mean? So that's the way.
You could beat Sean in a one-on-one debate.
Oh yes, 110%, because that guy waffles so much, and I could take on Johnny as well. Honestly, I would have him to pieces. I'll rinse it to pieces. Yeah, he'll go with his lodgepot back to his finances. The point I'm making is anyway, yeah, right, is that. The point I was making is that I do think Frank is limited because he started to realise that unfortunately he's not going to get the players he wants, because look at what's going on recently. Because why have we not gone and said to Bayern Munich, can we just take Paulinho right now? Because we need a number 6. We need a number 6 right now. That's our main position at the moment. But we're not doing that right now, right?
But that's got nothing to do with Frank. That's got nothing to do with Frank.
No, it is to do with Frank, because Frank is actually doing what the club wants. So he's actually doing what the club wants. That
hang on, Alex. This is where I'm going to pull you up. I'm going to pull you up on this.
I know.
Right? How do you know that? Again, we're making up these narratives that we have no idea. Like, he's doing what the club want. How do you know that he's not turned around to the club and gone, any chance we could get in another friendly on Saturday morning? I want to look at more players. Right? How do you know that he's not turned around and gone, you know what? The two players I really want are Gibbs White and Kudos, and the club nearly pulled it off for him. Like, I feel like you're saying things that can't be qualified. You know, that they're not definitives. How do you know that he's doing what the club wants?
And the other thing to sort of back it up is, every time you use an example, if I pull a hole in that example, you don't like it. So you said Maresca. When I said to you, did he have one game in 1 week? You threw your toys out of pram. So when we are kind of answering back to your example, you don't like them. So it's like, where are you getting your information from to say this? Because every time you give an answer, if we kind of combat it or give our point of view to it, you just kind of shut down and change subject. So what he said, like what we said with the Chelsea manager. I said, when they've had their players back for a week, had one game, did he make up everyone was out by that week? And you said no, but then you're using that as an example to bash Frank. So it doesn't make sense. You can't use that stick to bash Frank when you're comparing him to somebody that didn't do that either.
Sav, when you're putting everyone's names up, you should be putting now James the Hitman Flower.
James the Hitman Flower.
He's no hitman.
I don't know if I can change his form.
Listen, box office.
He's no hitman.
Box office.
But anyway,
box office. Look, before you try taking on the likes of Sean and stuff like that, speak to me privately. I'll give you some lessons and we'll go at it together, because you got no hope on your own. So message me privately. I'll get you up to scratch and we'll work on it, and you'll be able to take out these big boys.
Thank you, James. But I don't need a chaperone, mate. Anyway, moving on. But the point is, though, yeah, it's like, look, listen, I understand what you're saying. Maybe you make a good point about Indo Maresca, right? And saying that he is he's a good, he didn't take, he did take a week or something like that, or maybe 2 weeks or something like that. Yeah, possibly, yeah. But he was ruthless. That's the point I was making, right? He was ruthless and said, sorry, you're not part of my squad, right? So you got to be to the side. This is my thing. And he did this in press conferences. I remember it 110%.
After how long?
I know. Yeah, that's a good point. I get to your point. But what I'm saying is, at the moment, it's quite telling when you've just added another friendly to another friendly that you had before. And I know you're going to they're going to over to the tour. I understand that, but I do think it's telling that he's had to put that friendly.
Okay, so let me combat your point.
Go on.
Maybe he's putting the extra preseason friendly so he can get to that decision and that conclusion on the players quicker.
Yeah,
you ever thought about that?
Yeah. But there's
Alex,
a balance to the conversation here.
Alex, this is the problem. He's had the players at the training ground now for 2 weeks, right? He's had 2 weeks at the training ground with the players and one friendly. And you keep coming on about ruthless. First and foremost, we tried to discuss this last week. Thomas Frank can turn around and say, that player, I'm happy to sell him. Thomas Frank isn't in charge of selling footballers. And this is where anybody that wants to get on his back, I'm seeing it from people like you and others, anyone that wants to get on his back is using non-manager related issues to jump on his back. There's another friendly. He's not got rid of these players. In 2 weeks, what's he meant to have done, Alex? Is he meant to have had seen one training session and gone, right, those 8 are shit, get rid of them? And how do you know?
So,
hang on,
can I add something?
Hang on. Let me finish. Let me finish. And how do you know, Alex, that that's not happened? How do you know that he's not had them for 2 weeks now? Informed the players that he doesn't want that. Look for another club. It doesn't happen in 2 weeks, Alex. Transfers don't happen like that. So I don't understand when you're saying he's ruthless. I don't feel like you can quantify what you mean by this. I don't think you are labeling it.
He has been ruthless. Let me give an example. This. I come into arguments with facts, and I'll back the facts to the end. Richarlison has been fit the whole way through, training well the whole way through. First game of the season or pre-season, didn't even make the squad. What is more ruthless than that? What is more you ain't playing in my team than that? The day after, all the big guys were saying he's fit. Richarlison's fit. He wasn't picked. What is more ruthless than that?
Yeah, but is he going to be
That's
playing?
him coming in going, £60 million striker. You ain't in my plans.
Yeah, but regardless of that, yeah, at the end of the day, is he going to be playing against?
No, regardless though, you're asking him to be ruthless. I've gave you you're asking him to be ruthless. I've gave you an example, and what you've said is, now don't worry about that. Regardless of that, but I've just gave you an example of him being ruthless, and you're telling him you want him to be ruthless. So I've gave you the answer of him being ruthless. Now let's not worry about that. Let's move on. So it's like,
No,
even when he is being ruthless, you're just disregarding it.
It's a good point. I'm saying it's a good point, but the thing is, though, okay, we'll see what happens against Wickham and Luton. Then is he in the squad? Right. If he's not in the squad, right, then that's a clear indication. That's a clear indication that he's going to be leaving. But I don't see no rumours saying that Richarlison's going to be leaving anytime soon.
Hang on. So we're saying, hang on. This is crazy. So we're saying that any player that leaves a club in a transfer window doesn't take part in any form of pre-season friendly. Harry Kane told the club basically he wanted to leave. He did a whole pre-season tour, then came back and banged in a hat-trick or 4 goals, I think it was, against Shakhtar Donetsk. And then a few days later said, cheerio, I'm off to Bayern Munich. Alex, this is not how the world works. If a player is not causing a problem, I get it. If a player is a big issue, they're going to be left out. But if a player is not causing problems, they're still going to be part of pre-season friendlies. Darwin Núñez is meant to be leaving Liverpool. He scored the other night for Liverpool, but yet he's in talks with Napoli and one of the Saudi clubs. I just feel like, I'll say it again. I feel like, I said this to you the other day, it's like you are picking at a hole in Thomas Frank for something that he's got no control over yet. He's had one pre-season friendly. I don't know what it is you're expecting this guy to have done with any of these footballers in 2 weeks and one pre-season game against Reading. Please, can you tell me in one sentence, what is it that you need to see from him?
Well, I just think he can be more ruthless with certain things.
That's not an answer. What does that?
What
Alex,
that means is
I can sit here and say I'm the best looking bloke in the world. It doesn't mean anything. I need an answer.
What I mean is
Second.
by being ruthless, right? Is that saying certain players not in the squad, right?
But why would he do that?
That's what.
Can I ask you a question?
Hang on, James.
I want to ask you a question.
James, hang on. You keep cutting him off. I want to hear his sentence. I want to hear the explanation. You keep saying you want him to be more ruthless, but Alex, footballers still play pre-season for their football clubs, unless you've got an Alexander Isak situation where the player is saying, "I have zero interest in being here. Get me out of here." Why would he? Why would he not get any of these players still playing in pre-season? I'm just confused as to what you. I mean, who is it you want to be more ruthless with?
I think certain players like that have already had their chances, and the youth players, like for instance, Donnelly. Who else is there? Some of the young players that he's already done it now with Phillips. Phillips is gone now. He's gone on loan. And the other goalkeeper that Lubo likes, he's gone. Keeley. So
you wouldn't sign a new contract. That's why Keeley went.
Yeah, I know. I knew about that as well because that was in the news as well. So I just think he could be ruthless with certain players that have been around the squad that are young players.
Okay, so Jamie Donnelly is the example you just gave. So this weekend, why would you not give Jamie Donnelly across 2 games of football, across where you could probably have 4 different teams in different 45 minutes? Why would he suddenly banish Jamie Donnelly? For what reason would you be ruthless and banish Jamie Donnelly? What's he done? Why would he not give him minutes?
There wouldn't be any reason why.
I'm really confused.
There wouldn't be any reason. Okay, to go to your point, right? So I'm not confusing what I'm saying here. There wouldn't be any reason not to. I'm just saying at the moment, right? I just feel that with the squad that he has at the moment. There's too many players at the moment, right? This is why we're doing 2 friendlies, right? And I think he could be more focused on the certain players that he thinks are right for him, right? If he had an idea what he wanted to do with the formation he wanted to play, what he wanted to do with the players going forward, I do feel that he could have used that metric to try and identify what players he needed and what players do not fit what he wants to do. That's what I think he could have done. And are
you literally at this stage? Are you literally now just finding and making things up to beat this manager over the head with before he's even got his feet under the table?
No, it's not me. It's not me trying to find things to do. I just think that there are arguments that I just feel that there are doubts in my head, and it adds to why, because he's never played 2 games a week.
Alex, why should there be doubts? What's the guy done?
He hasn't done anything.
No, hang on. He's overachieved massively at Brentford. Why does anybody have why are there any negative thoughts in anybody's head? The guy's started. He's come up a level. He's done a fantastic job at Brentford. I'm really confident he'll do well. Let's enjoy it. Why have negative thoughts? It's not
negative. It's not. I don't look at his negatives. I've got nothing against Tom Farrell. I actually like the guy. I think he's all right. I think he's all right. There's nothing bad against him. It's just certain things I don't agree with what he's
everything you're saying is so negative against him, Alex.
I don't think it's negative though. I think because I actually
You're asking a manager who's been at the training ground for 2 weeks with the players, right? By the way, it's not his say. If he turns around and says that player's not in my thoughts, right? You do realize then the club have to have the conversation with the player, with the agent, right? That player, that agent, then need to go and look at their options. They need to start making phone calls. Spurs intermediaries need to start making phone calls. Now, by the time all that happens, you've got to hope. And this is where I think a lot of football fans, again, for a transfer to happen, it's all well and good us saying, we don't want you. You need a buyer. When I sell my house, when me and my wife sell our house, don't worry, it's not happening anytime soon. When we sell our house, we can put it in the estate agent window. It doesn't mean anything unless anyone actually rocks up and says, there you go, that's the asking price. Right? So at the moment, you're expecting in 2 weeks for him to have assessed all the footballers, know who he wants, when some of them have only come back this week, assessed them, know who he wants, told them they're leaving, and have already got them out of the door in the space of 2 weeks. And now you've got a problem with people like Jamie Donnelly getting game time in pre-season friendly. I'm just confused. I'm confused.
Just put an example out there. I just think that's what, because I just feel that it just goes to my point about him not being able to not knowing how to do 2 games a week at the moment. That's another thing as well. That was another thing as well. That could be another issue as well. But I feel that this ruthlessness, I just think that he could be more ruthless. That's all I'm saying. I feel he could be more ruthless in that sense of knowing what he wants to see from these footballers in a short amount of time. That's what I'm saying, because he's only got a limited amount of time, I feel. And I think the friendly that they put in against Wickham, right, shows that he needs to see all these footballers and so he can limit the squad to who he can.
That's a good thing, right? That's a positive.
Yeah, that's the thing. So that's the point I was trying to make. I think it's but again, it's not me. I don't know why I have to justify why I don't like. I'm against Frank. I'm not against Frank. No, it's not me at all.
I haven't heard you say anything positive about him at all. It just seems everything you're saying about him. It is, I've seen this guy blamed for Ben Davis. I've seen this guy blamed for Tell. I'm seeing this guy blamed for while Richarlison hasn't left the football club or Basuma hasn't left the football club. What I'm actually seeing is I'm seeing coaching videos where I go, yeah, look at this. Look at the way this guy's got them training. Look at this. Look at these coaching drills. I'm seeing all positives, but we're coming on and we're just, Alex, no offense, I'll call it as it is. It just seems like we want to knock him before he's begun. We want.
No, I
We
think
want
it's
to
a challenge. I don't think it's a case of that at all. I think I think it's challenging the challenging it, the whole point, because at the end of the day, I think he's coming into yeah. I just think it's just challenging things, because I have seen
I
things
don't,
that
I
are
don't, I don't,
good about. Go on.
I don't think you're challenging him though, because you're knocking him. He ain't being ruthless enough. That's not challenging somebody. That's making a statement of he's not being ruthless enough. Like,
No,
there
there's
was a
nothing
few
wrong with
things
being
you said there. There was a few things you said there. So one of them is he hasn't. Why isn't he coming out and saying, he's not in my plans? Name the last manager that did do that. That puts the club that's selling the player in a weaker. Who is doing that?
Pep Guardiola. Pep Guardiola.
For one,
Pep Guardiola was able to
for
do
one,
that.
they're putting the selling. Mate, I look quite nice. I'm not gonna lie. I like that. Yeah. For one, they're putting the selling club at a disadvantage by saying he's no longer in my plans. He's part of the shop window. That always does that. And the second thing is, you're saying like he needs more time to make up his mind. Do you think that Daniel Levy's not sat him down a week into before he even took the job, but then a week in? Who do you think can cut the mustard, mate? Is there anyone here you don't think? And he's gone, no, I need more time. Another week's gone by. Who do you think can play your system, mate? Do you think this is what's going to happen? Who's in, who's out? No, I need more time. Get me more games. I need more time. I'm telling you now, black and white, that he has sat down with Levy, and Levy's gone, what do you reckon the plan is? What do you think you need? Well, I need Kudos. I need someone like Gibbs White. I might need someone like Paulinho. I might need a left winger. What about going out? Well, we've seen that Basuma's up for sale. We've seen that Son can go. We've seen that there's numerous centre backs that can leave. So we are seeing stuff. We're just picking and choosing what we want to believe and not believe. If we believe that he hasn't at backstage or back like in meetings gone, yeah, he's not part of my plans. He's not. Then I'm sorry. Then you're delusional, because Daniel Levy isn't going to allow that to happen to his business. As a business, he's going to say, right, what do I need to get out here to make my business more successful?
Is he? Since when has he ever looked on that on the football side?
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying about players coming in, but as going out, when has he ever kind of put in a 60 million for Morgan Gibbs White and a 60 million for Kudos?
Mm-hmm. When he went out and bought Ndombele for 55 million and spent 65 million on Solanke and spent 65 million on Richarlison.
Exactly.
Yeah, but not in the manner that he did those, and also. When you said when has he ever done that? Harry Kane last year of his contract, Son last year of his contract, Bentancur last year of his contract. He's known for he would rather take a little bit of money rather than nothing. Do we agree with that, or does he let people go for free, or what would you?
But then, yeah, I agree. But then we also know that he would rather, instead of letting a player go for a little bit of money, he'd rather keep the player instead of spend a big lump of money on another player, i.e. Ben Davies. Why have we still got him then?
Yeah, I agree with the Ben Davies and stuff. But what I'm saying is, the players that I hear have got 1 year left, and it's a matter of keeping them and they go for nothing, or sell them and you get something. So that's more the point I was on about the business transactions of if he sat down with Frank and gone Basuma, Bentancur, Davis, and he's gone, well, I tell you what, I'll trigger an extra year for Davis. Gives you it gives that option to have to get some money, or they go for nothing.
Do you know? I think what we're guilty of. I think we're guilty of, all of us, by the way, all of us as fans, is we're very guilty of saying all of XYZ players are surplus to requirements when that might not be how the new manager sees it at all. Now, I don't know. The new manager might be looking at Basuma and going, that's my guy. Now, I don't reckon he has, but do you know what I mean? We're all guilty of, like we said last night, we're all guilty of saying this player isn't what we need at all. Well, how do we know that Thomas Frank hasn't said, this is exactly what I need. This is what I need. I think we're judging it on the fact that we've supported Spurs all our lives. We've seen Spurs year in, year out. Thomas Frank hasn't. Mm-hmm. You know, what he wants, what he needs might be very different to what we say as football fans. So, look, I just think the key thing for me, is let Thomas Frank have this summer. For me, none of this is on him. Right now, he's coaching. He's doing his thing. None of this, he needs to be more ruthless. We don't know how he's being ruthless, how he's not. We're just pretending we know, right? I think we need to let the man do his thing. Let him manage the friendlies. Let him take them on the tour. All the training videos, the players look very happy. They look collaborative. Everything looks good. I was told that every player would hate Spurs when Ange left. Doesn't look like that at all. Looks like it's harmonious.
They carried his bags for him when he turned up.
I think we let that happen. I think we should worry about the real elephant in the room, which is our transfer window, before we worry about Thomas Frank. I think we're worrying about the wrong element of the football club right now. I think we're in a safe pair of hands.
Do you think that Frank then has already judged 75% of the players, or do you think he's playing these games to judge all the players? Because for me, the real manager should be in there. He should already have a very, very good idea of what he wants, what
That's
he wants
exactly
to do,
what
and
I
who
said,
he wants to get
Dan.
rid of.
That's exactly what I said, Dan.
Sure.
Exactly what I said, Dan. And then people are saying
that's not exactly what you said, Alex.
Yeah, well,
That's
no,
not
it's
exactly
but it's exactly where he's come to that point, though. So I mean, it's exactly what I'm saying. If you know, is it a manager that's decided on 75% of what he knows about the players already, and he knows what he wants and doesn't want, right? Or is it just a case of that he still needs to look at these players? That's what I'm saying, and I'm going back to that.
Can I ask you a question? Can't it be both? Why is it one or the other? Can't it be that in his head he knows these are my core players? These players, if bids came in, I'm happy for them to go. However, pre-season is for some of these players to show me, actually, I was wrong. Actually, you can do a job.
That's what I said earlier.
Dan was getting at more than.
Yeah, he should know.
Because your point, Alex, is you just wanting to be ruthless, and all the players you don't think are good enough shouldn't even be playing in pre-season. That's mental.
There's one or two players, or let's say 1 or 4 players, just to kill a number sort of thing, that obviously I think anyone would go into a club and say, right, I pretty much know who I want and don't want. Solomon is not getting in that World Cup team for me, blah, 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 example and that, yeah? But then maybe Basuma can actually do that job as a box-to-box pressing forward instead of putting a defensive manner, because he's not a defensive person. He did it at Brighton very well. And when he was able to play as a going forward box-to-box at Spurs, he actually 9 times out of 10 done a very good job. Yeah. So maybe actually what I'm going to do is give him a couple of trials to see if he can handle it the way I want to play it. And then maybe look at someone else, and not that there's many to look at in my opinion as such, but look at, say, okay, I'm going to give Archie Gray a couple of goes on the trial and that to see if I think he can even get into this squad, let alone the team. Or is he just not going to be in there and I'm going to loan him out? Now, with ones like that, I get that, but I do believe 75% he should already know what he wants to do. But there's going to be a couple that obviously you do try out to see whether it can work in your system.
But does he have the time to do that, though? Because the thing is, does he have the time to do that, though? Because it's going back to what you said yesterday, that a manager hasn't got time to start. Alex,
he's got to know if players are good enough or not.
Yeah, but you know, with what people were saying yesterday, they were saying that unfortunately we can't. You know, a manager's only got a shelf life of maybe 18 months, possibly. Very
true.
You know, so you know, this is what goes back to my whole point about ruthlessness, and everyone's going down my throat about it. It's like you can't just say
no. You have to have logic with that.
But unfortunately, logic with Tottenham has never really worked with Tottenham, hasn't it? So stop this logic thing, because this is what Jay Rating does. The point I'm making is
there's got to be logic with you. Forget Tottenham, you've got to have the logic.
That's what I'm talking about.
I've got logic. I've got logic because I've looked at history of what Tottenham Hotspur have been like the last how many years now. It's a case of, right, we don't give managers time in that sense because we don't have that model of doing it, right? Our model is a director of football, which has been a failure for the most part of how many years of this ownership, right? So that's the point. The point is, though, he's coming into Tottenham knowing full well that if he does it, because we've got to do well in multiple competitions this season, that's why our last manager got sacked, right? If he doesn't do well in the league, right, and he doesn't get at least into top 10, he's going to get sacked.
Sure.
No doubt about it.
I think what Alex is trying to say, tell me if I'm wrong, Alex, is basically that no, he hasn't got the time to judge 30 players, 24 players, whatever it is. He should already know a majority of what he wants to get rid of, but he has got the time to judge 4 or 5 players, basically.
He's got plenty of time, Dave.
He's got plenty of time. I don't get this. Sorry.
No, I don't
Yeah,
think he has.
I don't think
Yeah,
many
neither
Spurs
do I.
managers get that
I'm
much
I'm
time.
sorry,
Unfortunately, I've got to
mate. They have more than a week.
I want to stay.
They have
but
more than a
unfortunately, I have
week.
to go. I'll speak to you later. Right?
Honestly,
Yeah.
honestly, big up, Alex. Honestly, there are certain people that should never ever work in professional football. Like, honestly, we're saying that in a week he should know absolutely everything about all his players. Listen, he's got the tour of Asia, right?
Mhm.
He's got the 2 friendlies this weekend. We've played Reading, right? When he goes in, he'll have an idea. He'll know the Spurs squad.
Mhm.
He's not silly. He's an astute man. His coaching team are very good. He'll know
That's what I would hope so.
90% of, I want these. These are definitely going to be my guy. Like, I think Bentancur will be his guy, for example, blah, blah, blah. This one I'm not so sure on. So you know what? If a bid comes in, cool. But you know what? Let me see him in pre-season until he leaves. Let me see him. Maybe he does something in pre-season where I go, hang on, I've not seen you in that aspect before. You can stay. But this point that Alex is making is like, he's come in, he's had 1 week, and then in 1 week we're meant to have, it's like saying when you take over a business or you go in as a manager of a new company, that in 1 week you're going to have sorted out the entire staff, all of their processes, you've sacked loads of people. I always say when you first go in, I need the first 2 to 4 weeks to sit down, meet everyone, speak to people, what's going on, what's happened in the past, what worked well, what didn't, what do we need to change, what do we need to scrap. And Alex wants it all done in 1 week. He thinks Thomas Frank's going to come in and go, I want these 10 players sold in 1 week. This isn't a computer game. These are people in real lives.
But like we agreed earlier, he should know 75% of what he already wants to do. So it's not the whole team he should be judging. It should be a certain percentage of the team, a low percentage of the team that he's judging. Like I said earlier, can Basuma actually do it my way? Can other players do it my way? But he should already be walking into that team, as far as I'm concerned, knowing the high majority of players that he really doesn't want.
I'm sure he does.
I hope he does.
Dan, the problem is from Alex's metric, as I keep explaining, we've got no way of knowing that he hasn't done that already, right? But just dropping them all for pre-season friendlies isn't the metric of whether or not he's done that. And that's Alex's metric is, if Donnelly plays, if Richarlison plays, I would fully expect Richarlison to play some part in pre-season because as it stands, I hate to break this to people, whether we rate him or not, as it stands, we're a Dominic Solanke hamstring away from this guy being our number 1 striker for the season, right?
It's true.
So he's got to play. Like, I've never.
But my problem with that
isn't Football Manager.
My problem with that is even when you provide facts, they don't. Even when you provide facts and stats, if we believe in everything like he refers to stuff, or we all refer to stuff that we see Romano post or Ornstein post or whoever, and then when they post stuff like Richarlison was fit the whole week and he was ready to go and he wasn't picked, no, let's just move that aside. What do you mean? It's like what people say about Ange. Yeah, no, we finished 17th in the league. No, that doesn't matter. Let's move that aside. What do you mean? You can't take away 50% of the problem. Bigger to kind of, I just don't get it, man. And when you give an example, they just want to go, no, that doesn't matter. What do you mean it doesn't matter?
I see where you're coming from on that, but that's not the actual point that I was making. That's not the point I was making earlier either.
No, I'm not saying.
The point I was making is he should already have a very good idea of who he wants to keep and who he doesn't. Like I said to Ian, it don't take Einstein to work it out.
I agree.
Solomon is not good enough for a Champions League team. Yeah, that's the point.
Hang on, Lugo wants Solomon as our starting left winger.
No, I want Solomon to have a run out so Frank can see if he's up to it or not. He's got him on the books. Let him look at him. He's come back from Leeds.
You also said you'd start him over Tell.
If it's a choice of one or the other, then based on what I've seen previously, I would start him over Tell. I think he's a better player.
Sorry, Alex, Sean, by the way, you missed Alex by about 60 seconds.
I literally only dialed in so that I could bury him in a debate of his choosing. You sent me a text message. My family's from Singapore's in, so I can't really do much streaming. No, I literally, when you text me that, I was like, I ran upstairs. I was going to come on and go, any debate you want, any debate at all, soccer dancing, whatever he calls it. I don't care. I don't know anything about it, but I'll still bury you in that any debate you want, Alex. Your choice. Let's go. 3 minutes, but he's not here, so I should probably leave.
like Mastermind. Right, Sean. Yeah,
Don't
listen,
worry,
sorry.
I got
I'm sorry. Yeah, I got you. Missed him by 30 seconds.
Oh, can he come back in? If he's still watching, can he come back in?
Let me message him.
He sort of jumps in and out during lunch breaks and tea breaks at work. So
yeah.
Okay. All right. No worries. How's everyone doing?
I'm gonna shoot though, boys. I'm gonna shoot. I'm gonna shoot. Work to do and all that.
Norwich's Mafia man, eh? Yeah.
Take care. The Hitman Flower. Legend.
See you later, James.
Take care, boys.
Yeah, James and Alex had a debate, and then Alex stormed off, Sean. Then he came back.
Alex and who had a debate?
James Flower had a debate about. I don't even know what it was about.
Maresca's come in and been ruthless, and James turned around and said, "But he's had just over a year, and Frank's had 2 weeks." What are you talking about? That's basically what the gist was.
So there was just no logic applied to any of the points that Alex was making.
He is funny. He is funny.
Oh, I love him. I love him to pieces. He's dynamite. He's dynamite. But unfortunately, guys, I know. I'm sure you'd all make a worthy opponent in debate right now because I'm up for one. But if it's not Alex, then I should probably go and be with my family. So I love you all and leave you. I'll see you later on, guys. Yeah.
See you later, mate. Take care. Bye bye. Oh, gee, you've got to laugh, lads. We have to laugh. Look, before we wrap the show up in the next 10, 15 minutes or so, just breaking news that Victor Gyokeres has been given clearance to join Arsenal now. So the Gooners getting their main man, their main striker that they've been chasing for, well, feels like a year now. Still absolutely no news. I've looked at everything. I've looked at Ornstein, Jacobs. I've looked at everything. Absolutely no news on Tottenham Hotspur at all. Daniel Field, thank you very much for the super sticker. Really, really appreciate you. That's very, very generous indeed. Thank you very much, my man. Danny Kiriakou said, James Flower I said, Hadouken. Danny Kiriakou, you absolute fraud of a Greek man. Big up to you, Danny. Much love. Daniel Field, not with one more, but with 2 more. Big up to you. Thank you, Daniel, for the super stickers. Really appreciate you, my friend. You're very generous. And Faz has said, should we not give Frank minimum 3 seasons no matter what? Well, it's that age-old thing, Faz. For me, I feel like it's the same with any job. I think we'd all love that security blanket. If I started a new job tomorrow, I'd love the guarantee that no matter what I do in year 1 to 3, I'm completing year 1 to 3. Unfortunately, that's not life. Yeah. You go into the company, most people go on a probation period. Footballers don't, funny enough, but most people go on a probation period, prove yourself, then you get the job full time, and then you've got to keep hitting the results and doing what you do. When we say 3 seasons, what if we finish 16th, 16th, 16th? No trophies. Are we turning around and saying, well, don't worry, he's done a good job? It's got to, I mean, lads at the top, let me ask you to this. There's got to be incremental improvements in every aspect of the football club for a manager to be measured against, right?
He's got to be seen to be going in an upward trajectory. And if he is, fantastic. You just keep building. If he's not, then they've got to sit down and they've got to ask the question why. But the whole thing about just getting shot at people every year and a half is just crazy, because you look at the successful managers, the successful clubs, their managers are there for several years.
Mm-hmm. Other than Chelsea.
Apart from Chelsea, who are the anomaly, that's right. But apart from Chelsea, Klopp, Guardiola, Ferguson, Wenger, it's.
But it's that point again, Ian. That's not what we do at Spurs.
No, that's right. And again, it comes down to we have owners who don't understand football.
So it's back to that word again that we keep all using at Spurs. We should do things like this. We should do things like that. We should have been already buying players. But if we go by the history, and if we go by what you say, the 25 years of abysmal history, then Thomas Frank hasn't got much time. Who knows? Maybe time has changed. Maybe, Levy's not the football man anymore, so he's nothing to do with it. Maybe it's going to be different. Maybe that no matter what happens, he's going to get 3 years. But history doesn't say that. History does say he hasn't actually got much time. That's only going by what I've seen.
Yeah, with a bit of luck, within 2 years, these owners will be gone anyway, hopefully.
Exactly, either way. But at the moment, they're still here and everything else. And just by going on fact,
correct,
he hasn't got much time.
But that doesn't mean he hasn't got much time now, pre-season, to sort out his players. Because if he doesn't, if he doesn't do it pre-season, when is he going to do it?
It's just a majority of it. I think he already knows before he gets to the club. That's what I think a good manager already knows. And there's a few out there that he wants to give a try for the way he does, and he thinks he can improve them. But I think a majority, he should already know who he wants and who he don't.
In effect, in theory, yes, but I think you've got to see it in practice as well. And I think he wants to see players who he thinks are going to be good enough to play the system actually show themselves and prove themselves in pre-season friendlies, so he can say, tick, I thought he'd be fine, tick him off, let's look at the next one, tick. He's not adapting as I thought he would. You know, there's going to be pros and cons, aren't there? So
yeah, I'm just saying the majority he should already know. That's just called homework.
Well, I think he needs matches to actually see people in action. I think that's the fairest way.
Some people, yes. A lot of other people, no.
Look, if you're talking about someone like Vicario or Romero or Van der Ven, then that's fair enough.
Okay, let me put it a different way to you then, Ian. What matches do I have to do?
Sorry?
Who actually needs homework to say that Archie Gray isn't good enough for midfield? Nobody. It's fact. It's blatantly obvious that he hasn't been able to do it. And it's blatantly obvious that he hasn't done it. Who needs homework to work out that Solomon is not a Champions League player? Who needs homework to work out that Ben...
Premier League player starts first of all, these boys have got to be up to the Premier League. This is their bread and butter.
So you're going to be confident that we go up against, let's say, just random team Juventus, and we've got Solomon, Kudus and Solanke up there. You're going to be really confident that Solomon's going to do a solid job there. Not that maybe we should sell him and also get something else in there. I'm only talking about a majority he should already know. That is what a good manager does. When a businessman goes into his job, he's already done homework and roughly knows what he wants to do and what he don't. And then obviously you got to try out the other stuff as well. But the majority he should already know, in my opinion.
Doesn't it depend who it is, Lubo? Let's be honest. Like, if you've got a James Maddison, I think we all know James Maddison's a top playmaker, right? He'll know. I agree on the most part, Dan. But the thing is, there are players that will play differently in different systems. There are players that probably haven't had a chance. Look, I think it's the same for any manager. Any manager who comes in, unless they've got the luxury of buying 8, 9, 10 new players of their own choosing, they're going to have to work with these players. So he's going to have to put them through their paces. And there's only so much you can see in training, right? You need some games to show. You need to see in a game situation, how do they adapt? But Dan is right on the other side of things. There are certain players where he will know immediately, you know, if a bid comes in for Brian Hill, go on, see you later. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I suspect that will be the same for Solomon, Brian Hill. I suspect he knows about Richarlison. And I think when fans get excited, not us, by the way, I think when fans get excited is they hear a manager say something nice about a player in an interview. They go, oh, see, he loves him. Well, he's not going to say anything bad, is he? You know, if he's asked about Richarlison, for example, in an interview, he's not going to turn around in an interview and go, yeah, we're actively trying to move Richie on, is he? He's going to turn around and go, well, look, good player, experience, Premier League, works hard. He's vital to our squad. He's going to say all the right things. So I do feel that we read way too much into everything.
If you're going to say to me on the left wing, would you go out? Would you like a Harvey Barnes on the left? Then of course, definitely, he would. For me, would go in front of Son, in front of Moore at the moment, in front of Solomon, in front of Tell. You know, you're talking about a proven Premier League player, or even better than Harvey Barnes if we can get it. But at the moment, we spent. For me, I don't think we're going to spend money in that area. I think the money, if money's going to be spent, it's going to be in different areas. They've just spent 30 million on Tell. He's going to want to have a look and see what Solomon's like. He's going to want to have a look and see what all the players are like and what they can do. You're going to have kids coming back that have had good loans elsewhere, like an Abbott, like a Donnelly, and he's going to want to see what these kids are like. Lancashire, he put Lancashire in front of Richie last weekend, didn't he? Richie didn't get a game at all. Lancashire played the second half. Took his goal nicely as well. Took his goal nicely when he played in Istanbul as well in November when we got sliced. So, you know, he's obviously got different ideas to what a lot of the fans think and what Ange obviously thought. So, as I say, it's going to be really interesting to see who he goes with, who his final 25 is, who he buys, who he sells, who he keeps. Looking forward to this season.
Look, and he got sent off. He did, didn't he? You remember? I'll tell you what, that game, I've never seen us pummeled. As how we came away from there without conceding 10 goals, I will never know. That was a kind of hybrid between terrible finishing and a Fraser Forster masterclass in goal. It was mental. It was mental.
The mad thing was, if Kulu had got his shot on target, we'd have come away with a 3-3 draw. Because the keeper was 30 yards out of goal, wasn't
Madness. No, is that true? If that's true, that's amazing. Oh, please let that be true. I would absolutely love to see Christian Eriksen down in the Championship pulling strings. Yes. Go on, Wrexham. They couldn't do it again, could they? Can they go straight through again?
Do you think Eriksen's got the physicality to do that?
Yeah. You don't need physicality. He'll be up there so much better than anyone else is down there.
Oh, 100% agree with that. It's just when you go into them leagues, it gets dirtier and whatever. People.
Yeah, but when
his physicality isn't top.
Yeah, but
they'll kick him out of play, won't they?
But this is the thing. When you hear about this, it's like I always used to hear things like, if Messi came over here, he'd get kicked. Nope. If Messi came over here, they wouldn't get near him to kick him. The top players drop into space. They wouldn't get near him. He'd be so intelligent, they wouldn't get near him. And he'd be the best player in that league by a country mile.
Oh, of course he would be.
I really want to see it. Really want to see it.
It'd definitely be interesting to have a look at.
Oh, I'd love it. I'd love it if Wrexham went through again. They've done 3 in a row, haven't they?
Oh.
Am I right in saying that?
3, yeah. 3. Yeah, done 3. They've done 3.
So this would be the first ever club to do 4 in a row, wouldn't it?
If it happens.
That'd be amazing.
I think Eddie Howe, I'm trying to think how many years it took Eddie Howe to go from the 4th level to the top. Be interesting to see whether that was 3 years or 4.
Let's have a look. So it'd be Bournemouth league finishes, right? It was Bournemouth, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Bournemouth league finishes. Okay, Bournemouth league finishes. List of Bournemouth seasons. So they went, if my internet works, so they went here. God, what era are we looking at here? So they did
5-6 years ago. Maybe.
So they were in League Two. They were in League Two in 2010. Then they went to League One the next year. 2 years in League One. Sorry, 3 years in League One.
Okay.
2 years in the Champ, 1 year in the Prem. So in 6 seasons, they went from League Two to the Premier League. 6 seasons.
Jesus.
That's bloody good, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's bloody good. Listen, I'm going to leave it there, guys. I will just say quickly, thank you to Craig Scott, DJ General Tracks. Thank you, brother. Really appreciate you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to send you all over to Tottenham on tour for Ben Kay and Brian Daigle. Please go over there. Please type in Savva Raid. 2 V's in Savva, by the way. The number of people I see that can conveniently leave out one of the V's. Dan, thank you very much. Lubo, thank you very much. Thank you for Alex and James. You truly made that show, and I will be clipping that 5 minutes for sure. That is just, the world needs to see that. Take care. Please subscribe to Danny at the Hotspur Hood. Please subscribe to Lubo and myself at the Spurs 5. Subscribe here if you haven't already. We're 204 away from 20,000. Smash that like button. Please subscribe. Take care. I'll be back. Unless there's any news today, I won't be doing anything today, people. I'll be back for a double header tomorrow, starting at 10 a.m., going through till 1, and then I'll have a break. And then at 2 p.m., we'll go through until 5 for the 2 Spurs friendly. So what a fun day. Take care, everyone. Much love. Remember to say Savva Raid. And as always, come on.
Leave it out.